Hey, Tys, how you going?
Good. How are you?
We are back.
We're back,
We're
baby.
back, people.
2018.
Yes.
Hitting it.
Revenge
strides.
of the nerds.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, it was just a sequel that jumped into my head.
We have had a nice long break.
We have.
And we're very excited to be back. We're doing our
2017 wrap-up.
Yeah.
It's a wrap-up.
It is a wrap-up.
It's not
it's the Nick Tyson videotape wrap-up.
Yeah. We did it last year. That was our first episode.
That was our first ever episode.
And listening back to it, by golly, we were green.
I can imagine. I'm scared to go back to listen to those first few episodes.
I say listen to it.
And whenever anyone says, I'm going to start listening to your podcast, I'm like, yeah, start around like episode 20. And they're like, no, I'm going to start. I'm like, well, you might not make it through.
But that's what I do, because you want to hear them. You want to hear the people grow. Like, you want to hear us go, okay, that didn't work that time. Let's do this time.
Sure. And
we didn't have, there was something we didn't have. Didn't have talking trailers? No, we didn't have talking trailers. We literally went into, what did we watch this week? I think.
We definitely didn't have the same theme song.
That's true.
We had
the
one I made on a MIDI keyboard.
Which was rad.
Which was pretty fucking rad.
I would like it as a ringtone.
Hey, we've got a very special thing happening today for our very special wrap-up episode.
Yep.
We have brought a guest with us.
We have.
And we're making it more complicated than ever today because we have Nick.
We have Nick.
And Tys. Welcome to the podcast, Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
Hi. I was just trying very hard to make Buffy make a noise into my microphone.
Yes, and we also are joined by a beautiful young, what is she?
Border collie.
Border collie.
Hey, she can be your Instagram picture.
Good point.
Sounds good.
Seeing as we're still not going to show
what we
look like.
No, we totally will.
Yeah.
We're going to do it this
week. We
week.
can put headphones on her. And
oh, we almost lost the whole laptop there. She's so cute. It's very fun. Look, I like that we're flying in the seat of our pants here.
This is...
Jump over the thing. Over.
It's all right.
We're keeping our regular... hey, darling.
Until Nick and Tys gets funded.
This is what you get.
This is what you get. And I love it.
It's too hot to put her outside.
No, don't put her outside. It's too hot.
Yes, well, but just if anyone's joining us for the first time... Welcome.
Good Lord, welcome.
Good Lord, indeed.
Yeah, hi.
This is, well, I suppose you could say, if you wanted to say, this is the start of the second season.
Second season. Yeah, season 2.
This is
season
our second year.
We've looked at our faults.
So this makes it episode, what?
48.
48.
Yeah, 48.
So there's 47 other episodes of us blabbering on.
Yeah.
That you can find on iTunes and all those places. We'll give you a bit of a rundown towards the end of the episode where exactly you can find us.
That's true.
But welcome, we're glad to have you.
How you going?
And we're going to start.
Shall we normally start with talk trailers, but we're going to skip on that just because
we've got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah,
our wrap-up episodes are huge, and we want to try and keep it under 2.5 hours.
We're squeezing in a full year in one episode, and that's harsh. So
why don't we move on to what is essentially our feature presentation?
Our feature
today. So I'll chuck the.
Let's do that.
I'll put the theme in.
You did.
And now for our feature presentation.
So, 2017 wrap-up. We are wrapping up the year. We're probably a little bit late to the party.
We are.
But
now,
I'm glad we do it this way because living in Australia,
yes,
we don't really get the opportunity to see a lot of the so-called critically acclaimed films.
Till later?
Until January.
Till January and February.
Oh, absolutely.
So I like that we kind of make this... that we save this until, I think last year we did it early Feb.
We did, yeah.
Maybe even mid-Feb.
Yeah.
I like that we do it this way because it gives us an opportunity to watch some of the movies that only we get like Boxing Day or New Year's Day or that have been out since October in the States and making everyone's top 10 list.
Exactly.
We can
then last year when we did this, I was watching all of the Oscar nominations. I was pumping them off.
You were what?
I was pumping them off. But...
Pumping through them?
Pumping through them. I was watching them a lot. How about that?
Yeah, that would
have been better. Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree with you. It's better that we do it this way. Yep. Plus, we're not. Yes, this is the best of 2017, but this is the best of 2017 that we watched. We can still. Yeah, they don't all have to be films from 2017.
And this is the thing. I reckon if I went back in 3 years' time and made a top 10 of 2017,
totally change.
I think it might totally change. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why I like when we do. If you are a regular listener, when we do the best of a year, you've done 99, and what did we do? We did
2004.
Thank
I know because I listened to that last week.
There you go. So when we did that was actually good because listening to that, preparing for that, my films that I like in 2004 have changed since then. I can go back and go, well, no, I've watched that, and Nick, you thought that was awesome in 2004, when actually it's fucking crap.
And that's, that's pretty likely what's going to happen to some of these choices, I would think, as well.
Exactly.
Now, if you didn't happen to listen to the 2016 wrap-up, our episode number one, currently on iTunes, we do things a little bit differently. Sure. I don't like doing top 10 lists.
He doesn't.
In this circumstance, because I think it's still so fresh. I think to be fair, I know my watching habits. I won't see probably every film that I want to see from this year until probably the end of this year that we're on now. Like it takes me a while to catch up on the things because I'm watching so much old stuff as well.
He loves
also, it's really expensive to go to the movies here.
It is really expensive to go to the movies here. We don't get any kind of I've signed up to every single deal under the sun, and it means that it costs me maybe $14 to $18 to see a movie. That's a lot, not when, considering we don't have anything where we can go to a second run cinema where they're showing it for $5 or $6 or anything like that. I think maybe we have one like that. I think there's one in Croydon or something that charges
cinema or something like that.
$8
you can go to the
anything.
Astor and see it.
Well, Astor's
way later.
Yeah, Astor's still $14. Yeah. So
we also don't get them on streaming services as soon as elsewhere.
No, that's true.
No streaming releases, and our streaming rental prices aren't fantastic either.
So basically, don't move to Australia.
Yeah,
if you're considering
kind of expensive
it,
here.
The streaming price pretty much means you should just buy it on Blu-ray and hope you like it.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Which is what I do.
Yeah. Considering at JB Hi-Fi you could pick up a new release for $20.
Exactly.
And sometimes even less, because if they're competing against the other stores around, even if you know that you're half interested in it, just buy it. Yeah. So the way we run our wrap-ups is instead of running through a top 10, knowing full well that will probably change within 3 weeks anyway, we are going to talk about moments.
Yes.
Moments in film for the year for us. Scenes, moments... things
characters
that we remember,
things that stood out in the film.
So that when we look back on the year as a whole, it might not be a particular film that we remember distinctively as yes, this was the one. It's the experience of watching these movies and what memories we took away from it.
Exactly, and this works really well for me and Tys because there are some movies that we'll watch where. You watch it for one scene because that one scene was fucking awesome, or that acting performance was really insane. Sometimes that can still hold up a film for me. Yes, the film might be shit, but
that might be the memorable experience, one of the most memorable things for me from watching movies of last year.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean the movie itself
was that great. It's
is
not
something that
Oscars,
I'm going to talk about.
Still,
so we came up with 5 or 6 or so things that we thought would be worth talking about.
Yeah.
And so let's just smash right in, shall we? So the first one we like to talk about is our favourite action sequence of 2017.
Are we doing just to go back a little bit? Are we doing your shit? What is the word?
Your favourite and a runner-up.
Runner-up.
Yeah, I reckon why don't we do a runner-up? What? A runner-up.
A runner-up.
We'll go around and do a runner-up each.
Yeah.
I can't say the word runner-up and
runner-up
then another
each.
word after it.
Runner-up each.
No.
Runner-up Ties. Runner-up
and
each.
Then we'll go around and we'll do our our winner, I guess. But really, it's there are no winners and losers, and that's why I like it this way. It's more what was your favourite action sequence.
Exactly.
So,
and the only other rule is if it is going to get talked about.
If it is going to be talked about as somebody's favourite. So if you list a runner-up, we will wait until it comes up.
You table it, and we'll come back. We'll come back. Okay.
Hey, Nicole.
Nicole.
Hey.
Why don't you hit us off? What was
your runner-up action sequence?
I have an honourable mention first, though.
All right. Well, we also allow the occasional honourable mention.
This is going to be a long episode.
And this is one sentence, okay?
One sentence. Here she goes.
So, watch Beyond Skyline yesterday.
Good Lord.
We did watch Beyond Skyline yesterday.
Oh, good Lord.
There was a fight scene at the end with characters. There's the female character Audrey, Mark, who was played by Frank Grillo, Sua, who I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Tyson's told me he's one of the main characters in the Raid movies, and also a random outlaw that doesn't have a name in the movie. So that guy, their end fight scene against the alien horde with primarily machetes is some of the best action sequences I've ever seen. It's literally why stab someone once when you can stab them 50 times because you move that fast.
Beyond Skyline is bonkers. I could not believe what I was seeing while I was watching this movie.
It was so much fun.
And it's legitimately it's a lot of fun. It's really trashy, but it's so much fun.
Okay, so it knows what it is.
Nicole's right. This fight scene, the finale. I don't know how much of a fan you are of the Raid films.
Love them.
So the main character played by Ido Aquais.
I'm not going to say his name because I don't know him.
And the other one is something Katsuo, I think.
Yeah, and it's the guy that plays the main villain from the first raid.
Oh yeah.
So you know the guy that him and his brother have to double team to take down.
Yeah. That was intense.
Yeah. So it's these two.
Ikyo Owayas, yeah.
Basically raiding on a bunch of aliens.
Oh really? With machetes.
They've got machetes and
little knives as well.
Knives and stuff, and it's just bonkers because it's like you are watching a raid film, but the villains are giant aliens.
So they're all
the
7
aliens
foot, 8 foot.
doing
Oh,
kickboxing
really?
stuff as well.
Oh,
it is so good. I can't. It's just it's
and
worth
Frank
watching.
Grillo's running around shooting bloody
I love Frank Grillo.
rocket launches and
there's a big alien fight happening over to the side, but that's and they keep cutting
two
back.
giant aliens fighting, and it was just ridiculous.
Really?
And it's kind of worth it for that last. I was struggling a little bit initially. I will be honest.
So, for example, we're watching this movie in silence, sometimes giggling, and get to this last bit, something happens, and the noise that comes out of Tys and me and the other people watching with us was pretty much like,
it was gasps or legit laugh out loud because it was so unexpectedly violent. All of a sudden, you're just like, dude's just getting cut up.
Someone just lost an arm.
Someone just got legit pulled apart.
Okay, so that was sorry, we talked about that for too long.
Good runner-up. Yeah.
Good runner-up.
That was my honourable mention. My runner-up
Runner-up. Okay, here we
is
go.
The Great Wall.
Oh, the Great Wall.
So the first fight scene with the creatures in that movie. So this is after Matt Damon and his oh god, I forget his name. Those two guys, they get captured.
The guy from Game of Thrones.
That guy. He has a name in the movie and in real life. So that first fight scene where they're kind of just tied up and they're watching the army attack the creatures, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So the way they were fighting off the wall, the way they were color-coded, depending on what kind of fighters they were. So the spear fighters, and then you've got your soldiers with swords, and then just the shield people, and just the choreography of it, the music, the fact that they were giving each other orders using drums, and they were playing drums with nunchucks, which is something that was
that's insane.
And I mean legit. They weren't just that wasn't just like some sort of CGI green screen drumming.
No.
They were playing these drums with nunchucks, and it was amazing, and it was just beautiful. It's really hard to explain unless you see it. The colors in this movie are phenomenal, and how they use them. The creature effects and Matt Damon being the action hero that he is in this movie, kind of aside, because that sort of throws you out of it a little bit. Everything else was just a masterpiece of choreography.
I think that movie's got a lot of problems, but it's nowhere near as bad as
people said
the reputation that it holds.
Do you think it was because of the whitewashing that
it's not whitewashed?
Yeah, and look, and this is the thing that I think we talked about when we said is that
we talked about this.
The impression that Matt Damon is the hero of this story is the wrong impression.
Yeah,
I think it's two stories happening concurrently.
Yeah.
He is involved in it, and he's not the most redeeming of characters.
Right.
He is involved in this, but he's in. I would not consider. I think his redemption is because of the people he has met in this. He is not going in there and making them better people. It's definitely the other way around.
Okay.
So
it's gotten a lot of flack, but I think people should see it. It looks good.
The main characters in this are pretty much everyone else, and I think you guys were saying when we were talking about before, Matt Damon was in this movie. They didn't need him in it to market this movie where it was released. It would have made the money that they wanted in the international markets regardless. And I think he just did it because it sounded like fun.
Yeah, and they like to make the Asian film market like to have a Hollywood star in their films.
Yeah.
It's just it's something that they can. It helps them market it. They don't have to. They still make pretty incredible. They would make an incredibly entertaining film like this with or without him. But this way, they can say, "Oh, hey, and we've got Hollywood's own Matt Damon."
Yeah,
and it becomes the highest-grossing film, in Chinese history or something.
Yeah.
So I think.
And as an actor, if you at that stage are curious, and you have to toss up between performing in Manchester by the Sea and the Great Wall, I can actually understand why you might pick the Great Wall.
I think sometimes,
absolutely, man.
As an actor, I think it's like, oh, what am I doing? An ancient Chinese legend about monsters attacking the fucking Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
that sounds
absolutely.
That sounds crazy, and I get to do like
fight scenes,
crazy ninjutsu, and I have a ponytail.
Yeah.
It's the same
think
as
about the fight scenes in Hero and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and House of Flying Daggers, but like amplify that by like an army across the Great Wall of China. Yeah. That's what we're talking about scale wise.
Yeah, it's the same as what was the other guy in Breaking Bad, Aaron
Paul.
After that, he's such an amazing actor, and I was talking about it with a few friends and they were like, "Well, why did he go from that amazingness to the Need for Speed?" I'm like, "Well, because if you're an actor, you've made it. If someone goes, do you want to play with a whole bunch of fast cars for a little while, and we'll give you a truckload of money as well?" As if you're not going to fucking do that. Yeah. I'll do the acting amazingness later on. Yeah. I've got some time,
and there is a very distinctive challenge in that as well. Like, even Daniel Day-Lewis made Last of the Mohicans. There's a challenge in an action film. Yeah. Yes, that's, Michael Mann, it's a different ballgame. Yeah. But, having said that, if Matt Damon is offered and then he says, "Oh, who's directing it?" and you find out it's the guy that directed Hero and House of Flying Daggers and Curse of the what's it called? Fuck.
Damn it.
Jade
Dragon?
Dragon?
No, that's a Woody Allen movie.
That's a Woody Allen movie.
Curse of the Golden Flower?
Golden Flower.
Is that it?
Golden Flower.
I don't want to say his name because I will pronounce it incredibly wrong.
I'm going to go for it. Yimu Zhang.
Okay. Yeah. Like that. You will then go, "Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do that
for sure,
dude." Is there any Y work? I mean,
is there any Y work? There was Y work.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good call.
Okay.
All right.
Do I say my next one, or do you guys go around?
We go around with our runner-up.
All right, here we go. So my runner-up is a little bit quick. This isn't. It is a different type of action sequence because I was trying to. When you say action sequence, most people think of swords and guns and everything like that. This action sequence was a little bit more intense. So my runner-up is probably the last 20 minutes of Split. When if you haven't seen it, tough luck. No spoilers, but
no spoilers.
You're going to see this coming. When McAvoy's character becomes what he becomes in the end and ends up chasing Casey Cook's character. Oh, she's trying to escape from him. It was just the payoff that you wanted. It was the slow build throughout Split. If you haven't seen it, I loved the absolute shit out of it, and I can't wait to watch it again. Just the slow build, and then all of a sudden he becomes this thing and chases after her, climbing up the walls, and it's very full on. It was a different type of action sequence, but it was really intense.
No, I agree. There's a great turning point in that movie where I think it's when we as the audience and the psychiatrist both kind of figure out what's about to happen at the same time, and from there to the end point, it switches gears and it becomes turns from a very movie that's kind of, it makes you hold your breath to a movie that you're like, "Oh fuck, run, Jesus Christ, get the fuck," exactly.
And, it's intense.
Yeah, and you're right, it's not quite all out horror because
I'd say it more if it's a thriller.
It does matter. You could definitely call that an action sequence for sure because you're right, it's
it kind of there's a mark where you can cut it and go, okay, from here to here, and it's just non-stop for that either 10 or 15 minutes. It's been a while, but I'm going to keep mine quick.
Nice.
That was mine.
I like it. All right, well, my runner-up, which is from a movie that I am fairly certain we're going to be discussing shortly. But my runner-up is from John Wick 2.
I'm pretty sure it's a different part than what I'm going to talk about.
I like it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Keep going.
Oh my God, you need to watch this
I know.
movie.
I've got it at home.
The first John Wick is
on Blu-ray.
Very enjoyable film. I liked it a lot, and I had a very good time.
Yeah.
The second John Wick is an entirely different thing. It is exceptionally good. It is the kind of action movie that needs to be remembered as an all-timer, I think.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how close it could be to my favorite film of the year. And it's John Wick 2.
That's awesome.
And that's what this is when I finished watching it, I could not believe how much I enjoyed it. I was a little kid, I had the biggest grin on my face, and I was
good.
like, that was amazing.
Fucking see that shit?
That was so fucking good.
I nearly bought it when I was at JB today, but it was $30.
Yes, I will be buying it very shortly.
I bought it flat out. I haven't even seen it yet.
There were so many things I could pick, and I'll leave one for Nicole specifically because I know she's already said she wants to talk about one. But the opening sequence, which is out of control good. But I want to specifically talk about the fight he has with the character played by Common, who is another assassin who he meets over the course of what he is tasked with doing, and it results, I don't want to spoil anything, and it results in the two of them having a bit of a fisticuffs. it is one of the great, like, one-on-one fights I've ever seen. And knowing, because we know how good John Wick is, and we watch him just knock out bad guy after bad, henchman after henchman in the coolest way possible. Yeah. Imagine two of them trying those same moves on each other the whole time.
That's intense.
And so it's so fast but so amazing to watch, because all the moves that you see John Wick do to these henchmen, he's trying, and Common's getting him back, and he's trying his own, and they're both just doing the most wild shit while falling down a staircase, mind you, like a giant outdoor stone stairwell.
It's like when they're standing and fighting each other, it's almost slower than when he's fighting just the common henchmen, because it's like
precise.
strike, block, strike, block, strike, block. Like it's
nice. It's 1 for 1. It's almost like fencing.
Yeah. Exactly. Remember Gun Carter from
I remember Gun
Equilibrium?
Carter.
So what seals the deal for me for this film, for this fight sequence, as well as the way it ends.
Okay.
And, because of this incredible world that is created in the John Wick films, this kind of playground for assassins, basically, that we apparently all live in, that we had no idea existed, is the respect that they have for each other, and the way that even though they want to kill each other, and they definitely need to, like it's survival of the fittest, they'll do whatever they can, they will still respect the rules of the organization.
Yeah.
And so the moment where they reach kind of an impasse and decide, let's have a drink, is as good as the fight itself. And it just shows the really amazing world building that they've done in this film, in these John Wick films, and I love it.
I did like it.
So that's my runner-up. Why don't we go to our faves?
So I'll continue the John Wick 2 train.
Nice.
So my favourite action sequence, and I'm going to try and not spoil too much, but it's kind of impossible.
It's very tough.
So there's a point in this movie where a call goes out to all assassins. So everyone, I guess, at his level.
Get John Wick. The big hit.
Come up again.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
And this call goes out while John is in transit. He doesn't have anything with him, I think, except a gun with maybe 6 or 5 bullets.
Oh, counting them down.
That's later.
Is that later? I think this is before. Oh god. Okay.
Oh, hang on. No, you're right.
Yeah, he only has. So he has not much on him. He has to get from point A to point B.
Yes, I remember counting the bullets as he shot them as well. I think it was 6 or 7. Yeah.
And as he's sort of walking, like, because he doesn't know this call's gone out, he's just like kind of casually strolling through sort of like a mall complex.
Yep.
Just regular folk everywhere,
John Wick
and all of a sudden people start getting text messages. With this.
Apparently, every second person in the world is an assassin. By the way, in this world, it's amazing.
Awesome.
And just that action scene of him coming to the realization that a major hit's been put on him, and he can't. He has to get to this other place where he can kind of take a breather.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere to hide. So I'm talking about like the person playing a violin busking in the subway gets a text message.
He's an assassin? Really?
Well, she's pretty fucking good. She's intense as...
She's pretty fucking
good. Yeah,
that was hilarious. That reaction from the guys just she's really fucking good.
Yeah. It's also
awesome.
like, just to interrupt very quickly. It's also really effectively directed, that sequence, because it messes with the chronology of it. Just
nice.
for that little section.
Who did direct the John Wick films? Is it one director?
No. So the first one had 2 different guys. And now they've gone to do Chad Streliski.
Streliski?
Is that his pronunciation?
We'll say it like that. Looks
and
like he's a stuntman.
He was. They were both stunt coordinators.
Right.
He is doing. What's the other guy's name? One of them's doing the new Deadpool.
Oh, that's right.
One of them.
The other one went off to do Deadpool.
Maybe
David Leitch.
David Leitch. Yeah.
Leitch,
So hang on, which one's which now?
So Chad did John Wick 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Did one of them do Atomic Blonde?
Oh. This is a lot of one-handed
IMDbing.
Under IMDb.
There's also a really adorable dog in this movie.
He did do... David Leitch did IMDb. Yeah.
So David Leitch is the other one.
I do love that dog.
And I remember you guys talking when you were talking about John Wick about how you were worried that this team has split up and like the resulting movies might not be as strong as the one they made when they were together.
That's
because
true.
They have different control over different areas.
Well,
I can officially say with John Wick 2, that's not a problem.
No, I would argue that.
Don't say that. He's gone off to do Deadpool.
The good one stayed.
Oh shit.
That may be a bit harsh, but
it could also be that I get the impression that Keanu Reeves has a lot of creative input into these movies.
Have you seen Atomic Blonde? Has anyone seen Atomic Blonde?
No, but I've heard good things.
Oh, what the fuck, man? I was really looking forward to that.
I was pretty much told that as well.
I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to watch everything.
I'll watch it when it's free.
Exactly.
Yeah, once it pops up on Netflix, I'll probably watch it.
But yeah, so that I'm not going to say anything else about that action sequence. It probably only goes for
it was a John
4
Wick
or 5 minutes. The fight sequence that Tyson was talking about is super extended, and then there's an incredible one at the start, and there's just the situations that keep popping up all over the place. The fight choreography is amazing. If Keanu Reeves keeps making these movies,
Keanu is my favorite man.
He is my most favorite
a big call, Tyson.
Yeah, it's
really.
I find it really hard to find someone that I think genuinely is probably the nicest guy. I reckon, just from everything you read about him, everything you see about him. Even like there was a photo that popped around where, obviously due to quite a lot of this stuff during the Me Too movement and everything like that, where it's him having a photo with fans and he's got his arms around them, but he's doing that thing that nerd guys do when they don't want to touch somebody, so their hands are kind of off their waist. He's even that kind of a guy where he's like, no, I'll pose with you guys and I'll do it professionally, and I'm not going to even put my hands on you. Like he's that kind of guy.
Also like the secret someone I know this is horrible, someone secretly filming him on the train, giving his seat
up to somebody else.
Of course he is,
like he runs a charity and he's run it secretly for like quite a long time.
I know about that.
Just what everything I hear about this guy, I'm just like, fuck, he's just he honestly just loves what he does,
and especially because he hasn't had a very like his personal life
it's fucked.
It's
just
really fucked. It's so not in like the way you would think for a normal Hollywood actor. Like he's fucked it up. No, it's just horrible things have unfortunately happened to him and his family.
And he's still friends with Alex Winter, and that script is ready to go.
I love it,
and no one is funding it because they're like, no one's going to go see that.
I will see the shit out of B&T 3.
Bill and Ted's excellent, rad, bogus, whatever the hell it is.
Whatever they want to call it.
Exactly.
Netflix will do it.
Netflix should do it.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, so it's enough John Wick 2 love.
John Wick 2.
It deserves all the love.
So it should. All right. My favorite action sequence is from Logan.
Very good.
That was on my list.
I'm going to say the one that I want to talk about was the first 10 minutes. The reintroduction of Logan, and the reintroduction tells the audience that this is not what you've previously seen. This is a hard R-rated movie, and
this is not the movie that you will expect.
Exactly, and what you should be expecting from a person with knives coming out of their hands. So throughout this, we see it's beautiful, it's quick. We see what's happened to Logan, that he's not a superhero in spandex. He's not getting in the jet wing. No. He's basically a fucking Uber driver who's getting beaten the shit out of, and he's not doing well. And it beautifully sets the tone for a film of what's to come. It's not about it's about the action sequence itself with the violence and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it's more about this is what you're going to see. This is what's happened with this character, and from this you're going to see a very different movie from what you've previously seen.
Very much so.
So it was a beautiful setup, and yes, I'm going to leave it there because more on that later.
I was about to say I am fairly certain that film is going to be spoken of
a little bit more
as we go on.
So that's all I wanted to say about that.
All right, very good. My favorite action sequence of the year is the throne room lightsaber battle from Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Really?
Oh my god! Yes.
Okay.
I think we've spoken about Last Jedi a bit. I know Nick has seen it.
I have seen it now. I have, and so we can talk about
it. But specifically, if we stick to this sequence, I think it's remarkably well put together.
I loved it. This was my favorite part of this movie.
I think, God, my jaw was just wide open during the scene. I just could not believe how beautiful it was, how great it looked, and how legitimately high the stakes were. And that's sometimes hard to pull off in one of these kind of sequences.
Especially when you're talking about someone who's technically the villain.
And this is what I'm... It was so much of a character development fight than it was just...
There were stakes. There were full stakes.
It wasn't just how good is this lightsaber battle, which it was. It was incredible to watch.
Yep.
They not only used the lightsaber in ways that I don't think we've ever seen before, but the threat was legitimate as well, and that sometimes is difficult, and this is something that I think the prequels do really badly.
Yes, I was going to say, it's not like people standing there, like 10,000 people with guns just shooting at these guys with lightsabers and they're never going to win.
Off. Yeah,
they
exactly,
basically, the way that the Jedis are just like these unstoppable forces in the prequels kind of rob them of any stakes, really. Just because they can run around a room and just go chung 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 chung, shoot off every bullet, and then chop someone's head off. There's
then Jedi mind power all their guns away from them.
Exactly.
And close the door. And,
Force push.
There was legit. Yeah, exactly. There were legitimate stakes, even when they were using all those skills. Like the guards of Snoke's guards were incredibly intimidating. And
great costume, sort of like reference, I guess, from the Return of the Jedi.
Indeed. I love the striking of the red, the strikingness of the red,
and how distinct their weapons were as well.
They were
very
different. Yeah,
and fuck, it just looked gorgeous. It looked stunning, and it's actually, I think, one of the most Rian Johnson scenes. Like, he directed that with very much his visual eye. It reminded me of things in Looper. Like the way he uses space and the way he kind of establishes an area and has the characters play in it. He's got it's unique, I think, to him in a way that it just, you can watch that and spot his fingerprints all over it.
I loved Snoke in that. I love that, like, we didn't get... You don't need enough, like, a lot of fanboys have said that, who is Snoke, where does he... You know, they all want a backstory. You don't really need that. And I love that what happened to him was amazing. And then from that, it was just a little bit for me because I saw it coming, because no one that powerful needs that many guards. But I was like, no, that's okay. I'm going to let it wash over me, and it was fucking awesome anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It really was awesome.
It was,
especially because... You didn't see it coming. You didn't know what Kylo was going to do. It was up in the air. They didn't jump ahead, or they didn't let it be known too early. No. Yeah. It was right up into the line. It was really
and
good.
as you were watching it, you were actually just as invested in what it meant for his character.
Exactly.
As opposed to just, wow, this is some killer choreography.
And it was also a time constraint thing as well, because, while that rio's happening, they were attacking the escape pods.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Didn't have much time. And then the Holdo maneuver.
Yep.
And love that movie.
It was a great
sequence.
Might
talk about that later.
All right, cool. Well, that's our action sequences.
That's our action sequences.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right.
We're going to smash through. We're doing all right, actually.
We're doing okay.
We're not going to talk about anything else today, so...
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our favourite horror movie moment.
Horror movie?
This will be fast.
Nicole's not going to have much to contribute to this.
All right.
So we can say, like, I don't want to say what scared you the most. This was danger in this, because I don't want that to be the case.
Yep.
Because I wanted specifically to mention a moment.
A moment of horror.
Well, a moment from a horror movie.
Right. It doesn't have to be.
Might have been one of my favourite moments of the year.
Right.
And it's not necessarily
it doesn't
a scary
have to be scary.
moment.
No,
so that's why I
from
wanted to call it favourite horror movie moment.
Yeah. Well, my runner-up action sequence.
Very true.
Yeah.
So Nicole,
hit us off.
Have you got a runner-up?
No, I've just got one.
You've just got one.
That's all right.
Well, why don't we come back to you in a second?
Yeah, because I went through the list and I couldn't find anything else. I mean, there's probably scary movie moments that I've just washed over me, but yeah.
Because you had your eyes closed?
Yeah, probably.
Like, no, I'm not watching that shit.
Just didn't get the feel of it from the Wikipedia synopsis.
You're like, I'm going to hang out the laundry. No, fuck this.
I'm hiding behind a cushion.
Fair deal. All right, well, my runner-up was, I might have talked about it before a little bit, and I would like to, it's on my list for a Terrorizing Tyson episode, which I really can't wait to do, is the movie The Visit.
Oh, right.
But it has to be all elements in key here, Tice, for it to have a full effect.
Sure.
But yeah, the hide and seek sequence of under the house in The Visit was my runner-up horror movie moment.
Is The Visit a 2017?
No, it's 2015.
Oh.
Yeah, I just watched it in 2017.
Yeah. So, all right, we're cheating a little bit
here.
Yeah,
sorry. But yeah, it's not the scariest moment. It's just, it was well cut. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
It had me yelling at the screen, get the fuck out! And that doesn't happen to me anymore.
Sure.
That doesn't happen at all. But yeah, it builds things up. It's one of the my wife's favorite things is scary moments happening in broad daylight.
Sure.
That makes it even more scary than normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it builds up to one of the best outcomes as well. The end of this scene is just so okay. You kind of don't know what's happening after the whole thing's happened. But yeah, it was a beautiful moment, and I really can't wait for you to watch it.
Well, Terrifying Tys might be might be as well. It might not be as effective as it once was, because I'm finding myself a bit more
brave.
Yeah,
well, that's where we got
by yourself at night time with no cats.
We got to lock in some elements, Tys. You can have your cats. It just has to be at night time by yourself.
No.
There
will be a cat.
That's harsh.
Well, it means if he's watching it with the cats, he's watching it in his bedroom, probably on a smaller screen, and in a lot more comfort.
That's the only way I'll be able to watch it. I'm not going to be able to watch it.
You can cover it at my house. I'll give you the whole house.
That's terrible.
It'll be better because you don't know the house.
You can watch them here.
Like you'll set up traps and shit for me. All right,
so that's my runner-up.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm also going to do an honourable mention. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that, actually, because I think we might talk about that later. Okay. I'll go straight to my runner-up.
Yep.
My runner-up is... I don't know what order I want to put these in.
Ooh. Am I going to talk about one of them?
Probably not. I don't know.
You did watch a few horror movies this year, Tys?
No, we'll see. Okay, my runner-up, I'm going to do Gerald's Game as my runner-up.
Oh, nice.
And this is the escape scene. So, Gerald's Game is...
Don't ruin it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, look, it's fine.
Okay.
It's by saying the escape, the term could be interpreted many ways.
Oh, right.
You should use the proper term.
No, I don't. Well, because I think that gives it away.
Give it away?
Because I actually heard that term prior to me watching it, so I knew what I was expecting. But there is... So the whole, for anyone that doesn't know, the concept of Gerald's Game is this married couple go to a very secluded cabin for like a romantic weekend, try and jumpstart their love life a little bit, and in the course of kind of experimenting with some kinky stuff, she gets handcuffed to the bedhead, and her husband has a heart attack and dies
on her.
Yes, so she's stuck in this cabin, in the middle of nowhere, handcuffed to a bed. Right. And what follows from that is an incredibly engaging mental battle that is represented very, very effectively in this film. We get hallucinations, flashbacks, dream sequences, but it's all very much in the moment and all very effective. And becomes like this, like an escape thriller. Like, how is she going to get out of this? And that becomes some of the most effective stuff in the film. So as we go on, and things are revealed about her and about her situation, we get to the point where it's like, it's do or die. She's got to go. She's got to attempt something, or it's gonna end badly for her.
Yeah.
She's running out of time. And what follows is about a 15-minute sequence, 10 to 15-minute sequence. That is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life. It was so just. I've never felt more like I've never willed on a character more in my life. I don't think to be like, come on.
Would it be kind of like
do it.
127 hours?
Yeah, in a way.
Kind of like
in a
that.
way. And I think
obviously that's not what happens, but like
I think the films
sort of like,
have a lot
of
similarities. Actually, I think the way it shows the mental kind of deterioration of a character in that circumstance is actually kind of similar.
Yeah.
It's dealing with lots of different thematic things in the end.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think there's actually... That'd be a really interesting double header, I reckon. A cool little double feature.
That would be funny.
Yeah. And, that moment is similar in both films, actually. The moment where it's do or die and something drastic has to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it was... I don't a lot when I'm watching violence. There was a moment during without giving away too many spoilers, but we saw Shape of Water yesterday, and there's some finger trauma in that that made the two people I was watching it with make substantial noises and kind of looking away kind of things,
nice.
and I didn't get that.
Yeah.
It's more the noise than anything else.
Yeah, and it usually is the noise, and I was kind of just like, that was pretty gnarly.
Dude.
But this is much like a moment I talked about last year when we were watching Green Room. Is one of the few times where I instinctively, my mind made me turn my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, don't do it. Watch it. This is fucking incredible.
That scene
and I was like, oh, no, come back.
That scene in Green Room, by the way, I hate horror movies. I walked in
You walked in right on
I
that.
walked
I remember.
in.
Scene?
On that scene.
Oh.
I knew they were watching horror
This
movies.
is a bad time.
I was just like,
Nicole,
That is hard. That is
I was just like, I
hard.
don't think I could have timed it worse.
No, you couldn't have timed it any worse. But yes, so that's my runner-up. It's a movie that definitely needs to be watched.
Yeah. Well, it's on my to-watch
And
list.
it's just
sitting
on Netflix.
It's
Yeah.
sitting on there.
All right, your favourite horror movie moment, Nicole?
Is Get the Keys from Get Out.
Get Out.
Have you guys both? I know you've seen Get Out, Tyson.
Yeah.
have
No,
you?
not yet.
Okay, so
No, it's on my list. Jesus, there's tons on my list.
It's actually not too bad to talk around this moment, but it's just it's a simple moment where oh god, I don't know the characters' names or anything. He wants to leave. I'm so unprepared. I don't have a laptop with me. I can't
2
look up
seconds. Go
IMDb.
for it. Keep talking.
I can't remember his name either, though. So that's fine.
Oh god. I'm with amateurs, people. Amateurs.
So I've typed all my notes up on my phone, so I can't I can't switch between
That's
it and IMDb. He's nominated for an Oscar as well.
The character's name is it Chris Washington?
Is
Yeah.
Chris?
Is it
Yeah.
Chris Washington?
So Chris wants to leave. He wants to go home. He's not very comfortable with the situation that he's in, and he's asking his girlfriend, who is
Rose Armitage? Is that
Yes.
who it is?
Yes.
Armitage?
Yeah.
Rose,
Mrs.
yeah.
Armitage? Yeah.
To get
What?
There's other Armitages. I was just saying.
yeah.
Keep going.
to get the car keys out of her bag, and he's not really talking about anything else. There's all of the family is sort of around him in this situation, and he's just standing there, and he's just like, "Rose, get the keys."
Yep.
And the amount of tension that they've built up in this one particular moment, where you just the door is right there, the car is right there, just go, just get the fuck out, like.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Yeah.
And then that's where this movie takes a big turn, I guess, after that particular scene.
It does take a turn. It's a hard movie to talk around. I feel like it's...
Don't ruin it for me.
No, and you don't... Because
It's also really hard to ruin because I could say that I'd read the synopsis of this movie a
I
while
don't
ago.
like that you guys do that.
And then
I stayed completely away from it.
So
Yeah.
I knew everything about it. I knew all the twists and what have you. This particular scene still had the exact same effect.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's
that's good. Does that happen a lot? If you read like a synopsis if you
it's
read it
more-
and it's still
You know
okay,
what it
the
is?
movie's
It's
still
really
okay.
it's just to avoid jump scares because
Yeah.
that's the one part of horror movies apart from like really intense gore that I can't stand.
Yeah,
like
yeah, fair deal.
I don't mind a little, like, because I love action movies, so I get jump scares all the time, but I can tolerate an action movie so much more than horror movies. A jump scare in horror movies I don't like.
Yeah, fair
So
deal.
I try to read the synopsis to get rid of those, which spoils the movie, but you know.
I couldn't
But
do
it
that.
didn't spoil it for this. Like, I knew what was happening. I knew the direction the movie was going, but they can't write on paper
what you're feeling,
what you're
throughout,
feeling
yeah.
and what
you're
you're
not getting
watching
the
and-
score, you're
and
not
the
getting the
performance
performances, you're not getting
and
the cinematography.
What you've probably already gathered from the trailer, if you've
Yeah.
seen it, is it's not the whole story, but it's
the story.
It's the story, yeah. So there's not it's not so much a twist or like a reveal as it is just the plot revealing itself from what is already kind of pretty clear.
Already there.
Yeah.
And there's, I guess, the most horrifying aspect of that movie isn't so much like the scary stuff that's happening, but the themes around your own personal choice and free will and things like that, and people taking advantage of you in a way that is such a violation. Like the level of violation that this movie has against a person's ability to choose what they want to do, like their full body autonomy. That's where this movie is horrific more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that's like not what I was expecting. It was fantastic.
Good
But that
call.
moment, get the keys.
Get the keys.
Academy nominated.
Yeah,
Get out.
deservedly so.
Yep.
Bring it on.
We will be discussing that shortly.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Favorite horror movie moment?
Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, well, this was pretty easy for me because
Uh-huh.
it was on my can't wait to watch 2017 list. I went opening night, not opening night, opening day. You know when a movie opens at 10 a.m. I was there at 12 because
Nice
that's when I saw it. Is It, which was amazing.
As is mine.
Oh, as is yours.
And I've read the book.
Yay.
So I wonder. I don't think we've chosen the same moment. We might have.
We might have.
Why don't you go
I'm
first?
very proud that you watched that, Tyson. That's
Yeah.
very good. You
It
were
was-
in a
Stephen King, of
cinema?
course.
In a cinema?
No,
No.
I watched it.
At home on a Blu-ray.
No, we watched it at a friend's house. We did but it was all lights off. It was all
Oh,
like
well
the
done,
folding
Tys.
speakers up.
I jump scared in this. You have no idea. And it wasn't at anything. It was the fucking door that closed behind them. Oh, fuck!
See, that's why. what pisses me off.
It was the door.
Yeah.
But anyway,
tell me your moment, because
my moment was so everyone kind of knows. If you haven't seen the original or read the book, you understand what's going on. So it's these children, and the introduction to Pennywise for each of these characters. Everyone gets one, and the one that kind of really made the hair stand up on the back of my neck was Ben Henchkins. So his introduction, well, not introduction to Pennywise, but kind of his scare was he goes down into the basement. Ben Henchkins' history is that his father is in the army or something like that, and he's following Easter eggs or something. I've only watched it once, but I have it on Blu-ray. He's following Easter eggs down the stairs. He turns back, and what the director has chosen to use is to scare him is not Pennywise, but it's a headless soldier, but it's moving in stop motion. Now, that scares stop motion itself normally never scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
So this thing,
No Wallace and Gromit for you.
yeah, exactly. This thing coming slowly, it's almost like a camera shutter, just going at normal pace.
I feel like he does that a bit in this movie. There's a little bit of like frame
shot
removals to create that effect.
Yeah. So that's what happens. It's a stop motion with that, and it scared the shit out of me.
I'd probably agree that I think it was a mixture between Ben's and the Bill's first. Their first sightings of Pennywise each, I think, were the most effective out of everybody's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did enjoy
Beverly's is scary, but Beverly's is scary for a different reason.
Beverly's is like the most horrific on a
very,
human
very
level.
different. Yeah, yeah. But this whole movie, like, I love that they've jumped on the 80s. The 80s nostalgia is very big right now, and they've jumped on that. It was something worth remaking. We are seeing so many remakes and so many overdos, and they've yet to find something that is worth remaking. This was worth remaking, and they're not going to fill Tim Curry's shoes, but they did fucking well. They did really well.
mean, I don't have the nostalgia for that first one as much, because I saw it as a teenager once and was just kind of like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah,
Tim Curry's fine.
Yeah,
it's not. It's.
It's not.
Maybe
like
it's just me,
but
but I don't really understand the love
of
for
Tim Curry's character.
I think it's fine. It's good. It's scary. It's the best thing in a pretty average.
Oh yeah,
movie.
Looking at it now, the original it's way fucking too long.
And I think his performance is more. He kind of tunes into the wackiness of it a bit more.
No, I think it's the subtle scare. Instead of using the CG that they did with the new Pennywise, which is fine, and it's the more, because they couldn't do that, it was more I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to, scare you by just using my face.
I got that far more from this one than I did with the Tim Curry one. But that's neither here nor there.
They're both amazing.
I think that they're very different performances. I think I think Bill Skarsgård it makes a much more of an impression. I remember his he's.
Oh yeah.
There are moments of him physically, not the bullshit CGI moments.
Yeah.
The moments of him physically that I find just unforgettable.
Yeah, when he first talks to Georgie,
that first scene, there's the bit where
the drool scared the fucking shit out of me.
When he talks to it's the one who breaks his arm.
Mike? No.
When they visit
Mike,
the house.
Stan, Eric.
It's not Stan, because Stan's the Jewish kid.
Yeah.
It's Richie. No, not Richie. Who's the one that's always sick?
Who
thinks he's sick?
Oh god,
he's got
the asthma.
He's got the fake asthma puffer.
Oh damn it!
Fucking.
Come on. Have you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Beep Richie. Ben Hinchcombe. Mike.
Eddie.
I knew it was started with an E because I was like, it's
Eddie
Eric.
Kasprak.
Eric is wrong.
Eddie Kasprak. So I think the bit where he and it have the legitimate kind of face off.
Oh, that's
in the house.
Way full.
Like the stuff that Bill Skarsgård does in those moments is far more intimidating than anything Tim Curry did. But I feel bad saying that. Maybe I need to watch it again.
I think you need to watch it again. We will. We'll do like a Everything Old is New
again. As a teenager, I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's Tim Curry. Yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah,
he's just a big clown. He's got teeth sometimes.
It's amazing. My favorite bit in that is just him staring through the washing. That's blowing.
Yeah.
Fucking scary. But yeah.
I'm really excited for how they stage the flashbacks in the second one.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Like the speakeasy in the army base, that one in particular.
Bring it on. I can't wait for the next
That'll be interesting. And the shootout, the mob shootout. Am I spoiling things for you?
No. I don't know how much of that they're going to worry about.
Like the previous visitations.
Yeah.
I would prefer them to worry about that stuff than maybe something to do with another creature.
I don't think that's going to become part of it either.
And I think that's a good thing.
Because I think that makes... Do you know what we're talking about? Yeah. I think,
it's too many cooks in the kitchen.
It's very Stephen King, but it's
not.
It
can only go so
is,
far before you lose your audience's, goodwill, and that might be pushing it. An interdimensional amphibian. Well, anyway, my favourite horror movie moment is also from It. But this is why I wanted to say favourite horror movie moment, because it was not the moments... I found It to be
the rock wall?
A quite enjoyable film. What did you say about the rock wall?
The rock war.
Oh, the rock war. No, the rock war actually, while it probably brought one of my favourite laughs from it, which was Richie screaming rock war and then copping a rock in the head. What was with the terrible CGI backgrounds during that scene? Did you notice that?
I don't remember.
It was all it was so hideously composed. Like,
was it?
It was literally like someone on paint cut them out and put them in front of a... Yeah, it was so off-putting. Anyway, I think I liked it quite a lot, and I think the things that I didn't like about it were more frustrating than anything else, because it made me annoyed that it was ruining the bits that I liked. You know what I mean? Because I was having such a good time.
Yeah.
And then
something would pull you out.
Something would pull me out, like some really hideous CGI or
too much CGI. Or you're like, whoa, stop.
Or like some structure issues that I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this again. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And to the point where in other films I'd just be like, oh, well, that makes it not as good a film. Where in this case, it actually annoyed me more, because I think the surrounding elements of it, I think the pieces of this film could have made potentially an incredibly great whole.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't quite.
No.
I think it makes
everything holds up a bit better.
Moment to moment, I think it's got some of the strongest stuff in it. And I think it's because of these kids. I think these kids are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I was so attached to these kids. And so my favourite moment is actually towards the end, and this is not a spoiler, but it's a little speech made by Richie Tozier.
Yeah.
And it ends with the line, "And now I'm going to have to kill this fucking clown." And it was...
How good was that?
It was a mixture of, love for these characters and so much want for them to succeed, and so much, like I said before about willing a character, but sitting there and trying to give them the strength that they need.
You were with them all the way.
You were just you were using every power in the universe. You were like, come on, just rally up your strength.
And if someone got taken, you were like, no, we need to catch them. We need to help them.
And when he said that with baseball bat in hand, I've never been more on the side of a character before. I was like, you fucking get him, Richie. You fucking get him. Buddy. And it was, it kind of makes up for all the shit in that movie. I think just how much you love these kids. And that's why I think I want to watch it again, and I'm going to continue to watch that film because of the kids, I think.
Yeah.
And look, like I said, Bill Skarsgård does an incredible performance.
Did Buffy
just licked Nick's hand.
And Nick just got fucking scared.
While I was just talking about Pennywise.
Fuck me, Jesus Christ. That was funny.
That's perfect.
Oh my God, she's such a creeper.
That was amazing.
Yeah, but I think the kids and Bill Skarsgård's performance will always be strong enough to overcome some of the structural and directional problems that the film had. And it will always be a very good time at the movies.
Can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right, so biggest laugh of the year, favourite comedy of the year moment,
funniest
like
moment.
That? Funniest moment?
Sure. Runner up? Nicole.
Sorry, I've got my list.
That's okay.
Backwards. Okay, so my runner-up is in Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle.
I can't wait. It looks awesome.
And I'm going to say that would be Jack Black's entire performance in that movie.
Sure.
So no spoilers here, as the kid, there are 4 kids, but the Jumanji has self-evolved into a video game when it got found by a child in the 90s. It picked up this kid picked up the board game. And was like, fuck this shit. I don't want a board game, and started playing his video games again. So Jumanji's like, okay, and made itself a video game.
Right.
That's awesome.
So that's how this starts. And these, sorry, just getting Buffy off my cord.
Buffy, go back to your little spot you had before. You were so...
It's because we started eating popcorn again. Yeah. So these kids get sucked into the movie. They have to pick avatars. Jack Black's character is a play on words in the sense you can't exactly tell if it's a male or a woman. Obviously, it turns out to be a guy. It's Jack Black, so the hot chick, essentially, of the group is Jack Black's avatar. And, I mean, saying hot chick, I mean, you could think about, like, the clusterfuck movie that Rob Schneider made. Very similar premise. But,
or Shallow Hell.
Shallow Hell, yep. But this, like, he's a girl. Like, I can't explain it any other way.
A man's body.
And I think one of the moments in this movie that nearly made me fall out of my seat was when he had to go to the bathroom for the first time. Awesome. So he went with the other 2 guy characters, so The Rock and Kevin Hart, who are also equally funny in this movie. And Jack Black's performance as a girl trapped in a man's body and having to wee is probably the funniest thing I have ever witnessed.
I feel like that gag happens in The Hot Chick as well.
Probably.
I'm fairly certain there's a first time pee gag in that
using
too.
a penis for a first time.
And there may also there's a follow up boner instance as well, but just like his reaction to that and the way that he does it, the way that he does it, like I was just it's incredible. Like I don't know if it was the writing, whoever decided to write it that way, or if it's just Jack Black doing his thing. Like I absolutely loved it. It was so funny. The whole movie. Sorry, so everyone was holding their breath. Buffy was walking past the laptop. The whole movie had so many laugh out loud moments. It was so much fun. The Rock, if he makes movies like this for the rest of his life, I'll be happy. Like just being The Rock and
he needs to be president. But yes, I agree with you. Oh, we're out.
Buffy's fucked it up.
Over here. Come on. Yes, I do agree with you.
So yes, I recommend this movie for people to watch. If you don't laugh, you have no soul.
You have no funny bone.
Yeah, no funny bone.
Come on.
No, fair call.
It's just fun for fun's sake, is what that movie is, and I think it's you can watch Jumanji and you can watch Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, and it's not like no one can remake this because Robin Williams blah blah blah. They didn't try to. Yeah. Like they took it in a different direction, and I loved it.
Good. Yeah, I think you especially see that from the trailer, because I was one of the ones going no, fuck off, no, don't touch this, and I watched the trailer and went, okay, you know what? Not only am I okay with this, I'm actually going to see this.
Yeah, surprisingly well reviewed, and it's a box office smash.
Of course it is, because kids can see it.
Yeah. All right, Nick, what do you got?
Mine is going on the same vein as funniest. I'm going to go with funniest character.
Okay.
Yeah. For a bit of a change up.
Nice one.
And mine is Korg from Thor Ragnarok. Tabled. Awesome.
Table.
I love a table.
All right. My runner-up is a very strange one. I realised I did not watch a great deal of comedies this year.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. Yeah.
And look, comedies. Funnily enough, comedies is just a genre I'm not really drawn to, unless it's a very particular circumstances.
Okay.
And unless I can watch it in the comfort of my own home, I rarely see a comedy at the cinema.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm missing out some of the fun of that, because I know sometimes maybe laughing with the whole cinema, other people laughing would be more enjoyable.
You're not going to go see a Christmas Party at the cinema, are you?
Christmas Party. No, what?
Movies are for like Dunkirk's, not office Christmas parties.
But also maybe I'd go see,
though.
Because
if you have to choose,
like for instance, because I enjoyed. Because I enjoy the Jump Street movies so much.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd go see one of them at the cinema.
There you go.
But
there
was nothing this year that made me go, fucking Central Intelligence.
Bring it on.
Bad Mums Christmas.
Anchorman 2. Oh, what a waste of fucking money.
I liked Anchorman 2. No, what else came out? What was that? Fist Fight.
Fist Fight.
Can't wait to see that at a cinema.
Charlie Day movie, yeah.
Chips.
Chips. do you know what's funny? All of these things are now on Stan and Netflix and have been since about a week after they came out.
Exactly.
But so I'm going to go a movie that actually gave me an unexpected laugh. And there was the movie, Netflix original called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which was
I still haven't seen it.
a movie that could potentially end up as one of my favourite movies of the year. It would be in the conversation for the top 10. I think I really, really enjoyed it. But there was a moment, and it's someone's reaction to something violent happening.
Oh.
It's the kind of movie where the violence is always simmering and you're never quite sure when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, the main character that we are spending our time with is in no way prepared for the violence that she sees.
Yeah, yeah.
And her reaction to it is probably the most realistic reaction to this kind of violence that I've ever seen. And it made me laugh my ass off. And the movie is a black comedy,
right?
And so it's okay to laugh at it. It's directed in a way that it is meant to give you that reaction.
Yeah,
you might laugh out of discomfort, or you might laugh out of the jet black kind of comedy of it. But you will laugh. I don't want to give it away, so it's very hard to describe. But it was a moment that I laughed for a great deal of time too. Like, it caught me off guard. It wasn't just
you had to pause again.
I had to kind of give it a second because I was giggling so much.
Oh, I love that.
And it's towards the end of the film. It's a great movie anyway, so I can't recommend it enough. I don't feel at home in this world anymore.
Nice.
It's just on Netflix.
I can't wait. It looks awesome.
Give it like 25 minutes. It can be a little bit of a interesting start.
Okay.
I think, and it's definitely not for everybody. But if you like black comedy, some pretty gnarly violence, and some very quirky characters, it's a good one for you.
Cool.
Check it out. All right, so that means that, Nicole, your
funniest moment,
your favourite moment was Korg.
There is something to be said for a big rock monster with the voice of the most gentle New Zealand man in the history of the world.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Every single scene that Korg was in,
he stole.
Thor Ragnarok. If you've been living under a rock, that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
And this is Taika Waititi's character in the movie, motion capture, big CGI man, and as I've heard Taika Waititi describe, the voice of a New Zealand bouncer.
Yep.
And it was fantastic.
It was so good. It was so good that me and my wife use it every day now. Like, seriously, every time we're trying to do something. I tried to start a revolution, but I didn't print enough pamphlets. And the only people that ended up coming was my mum. And that's a terrible accent, Nicholas. Try and do it better. My mum and her boyfriend, and I hate him. It was fucking gold. Oh. It was so gold. I loved it. I loved every minute of him. He was so cute. He's so funny. Yeah.
Very good.
I agree.
I don't really have much else to say. It's just like every single time he was.
No, you said it well.
I'm leaning to you two a little bit.
No, you said it well. Because
Tyson has problems with Thor, and I know that. But
that's fine. But I have some problems with Thor too. But I loved him.
Everything you're saying is funny, and everything I find funny. Yeah. I don't think I want them in my Thor movie, but that's,
fair enough.
And these are lines that in Hunt for Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows, I would no doubt have laughed and remembered as some of my favourite lines.
I can really relate to that. It's the first time I watched Star Wars, and the joke right at the start, the holding for
I was less.
What's his name? Holding for
General Hux.
General Hux, and I was just like, I don't know if I want this particular joke in my Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is the best.
I'm going to table that because I have qualms with that.
But anyway, so I can relate to your experience with Thor in that sort of a way. That being said, I will be forever grateful that this character is one that I can revisit.
I look forward to seeing the character
I loved him.
in more Marvel films.
Oh, yeah.
Just because because it is an interesting enough character. And it's such an odd character to exist in that universe that I'm interested to see how it interacts with other universe.
I wish there was like a side movie of how Loki and the group of ragtag revolution starters hijack that ship and get to Asgard. Like that, if that was its own movie or its own episode, just the adventures of Loki and Korg.
My name's Korg. Don't let that put you off. I'm the leader of this group. I am a rock monster. That was a bit of me that just fell off just then. And my other he really goes, hey, it's like that space ghost. That's my favorite. That's not to say that I didn't have problems with Thor.
No, you're
but
right.
I knew that they
yeah.
had to do something because Dark World was it was good and then it just dropped really, really sharply for me.
Dark World it doesn't get the balance right. It
No.
takes it takes the things that I like about Thor and takes those to the extremes. It's too serious in a way that has no self-awareness.
But if someone is going to be serious a character in this universe, it has to be Thor because he's from a different planet, which I understood and I could see where they were going with a kind of Guardians feel of Ragnarok. But then, call a taxi. But yeah,
destroying the joint.
The comedy parts of Ragnarok I loved. It was the other parts that didn't land for me. The fact that there was supposed to be a nice big family confrontation, like a big family issue. It was between it's not Helga, it's Hela, isn't it? Hela, yeah. Hela, Loki, and Thor. And I wanted a massive family issue, and I didn't get that.
Sure.
Yeah. But Korg saved it for me.
Korg is
Corgi. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you to an extent.
All right.
My favourite kind of comedic...
it's mine.
Oh, I thought that was
because that was my tables.
Go.
Mine's quick though, because mine I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say because this was actually really hard because I'm in the same boat as Tyson. I watched one funny movie that was it last year, and that's not count. I don't count Thor as a comedy, but I'm going to say Rick and Morty season 3. And I'm going to say Rick Atlantis mix-up and Pickle Rick. I can't separate those two. I tried to, but I can't. And
what's the Rick Atlantis mix-up?
It's when Morty's killing Mortys and and when they go into a Morty bar, strip club, and it's just too good. But yeah, I'm not going to say much. I just want to say if you are on the Rick and Morty Rick and Morty bandwagon, you'll understand what I'm saying. Come here.
Yeah, Rick and Morty is.
You need to be on
it
it.
is as great as everyone says it is. And the weird fan base can go fuck themselves, but
yeah, exactly.
Other than that, it's incredibly funny.
Yeah,
I would. There were many moments in season 3 that I could pick out. As being...
so many moments. But yeah, and what you said before kind of struck me with Rick and Morty. It's too smart for its own good. This thing is just really
to a certain degree, like
really good.
It's trying,
and
it's trying to do more than it needs to.
Yeah,
like it's almost
bizarrely dark as well. Really fucked
so
up.
dark, so dark. But there's so like a lot of the kind of thematic undertone stuff will go
over kids' heads.
Will go missed by a lot of people, and wouldn't make it any worse or better a show. Like I think it still would be as funny without some of it in there. But anyway, that's just whatever.
But yeah, that's what mine was.
Yeah, good call.
Rick and Morty season 3, man.
Get on it. Get on Netflix.
All right, guys.
All right. Well,
funniest moment.
Yeah. I'm gonna just talk about for mine the movie The Disaster Artist, and it's a movie that I think works to a certain degree, but some of the funniest stuff in it is. Not so much the like the James Franco performance, whatever. It is what it is. It's wacky. It's
SAG winning.
Yeah, and it's doing. It's very particular, and I'm not sure if I was always on board for it.
Right.
But one thing that I think the movie does exceptionally well is highlight the absurdity of the filmmaking process that he went through.
Yeah.
And so when the film does finally get to the first day of shooting, it is some of the funniest stuff I saw all year. There is one cameo which has actually been relatively kept secret. And it's the character that plays a supporting role in the film who pops up for one scene, and it's one of the first scenes they film. And the filming of that scene had me in hysterics. It is not only because of the ridiculousness of the situation, but because we also have Paul Scheer and Seth Rogen as kind of the voices of reason in the background, because Seth Rogen is the script editor,
right,
and Paul Scheer is the director of photography, I think.
Yeah.
And they're just two normal dudes that are like, how the fuck did we get involved in this shit? What are we doing here?
Why are we here?
And they're just this constant voice in the background of everything going, oh, that's not right. Oh, what the fuck's going on? Are you serious? Is this what's really happening? And they're your subconscious the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're so funny and so like observant in that way that it makes it all the more funnier for it, because it's just got this little kind of running commentary on everything in the background. And I loved it. And there's a great little sequence at the end of the film where they show some side-by-side comparisons with what they filmed compared to the actual movie. And they're really funny too, because you can see just how the little details they got right, and how much effort they went into recreating it, like down to the extent of, finding the right vase on the table in the background and stuff like that. So very cool.
I can't wait. And friends of mine have asked me because no one can find the room to see the room before Disaster Artist.
Oh, is it not available?
It's not available. It has been playing at Nova Cinema every Saturday at 11 p.m. for about 3 years.
They're still doing it?
They're still doing it. Go see it there because it's totally worth it. And take a bunch of friends because otherwise you're just going to look like weird.
And some plastic spoons.
Yep. Nice one, Tys.
All right. Well, why don't we move on to...
uncontrollable sobbing.
What I've decided to name uncontrollable sobbing.
I love that you named it that. That's full on, man.
Because, there are times in movies where I legitimately cannot stop that.
The tears are coming.
Ugly
face. And it's going to be the whole...
It's the... And it happens to me a lot in movies. Yep. But there are some times where it's just unstoppable. Yeah. And so I wanted to highlight some of those. Nicole,
runner-up.
Honourable mention, Dunkirk. I'm not going to talk much about it. Just some of the moments in that caused uncontrollable sobbing.
Sure.
My runner-up is Beauty and the Beast.
What?
So,
hey, no judging. No judging.
So,
thank you.
I was in the cinema with my sisters, my mum, all of my female cousins, and my aunties. And we're all sitting together. And there was maybe 3 or 4 moments during the whole movie where there was uncontrollable sobbing. When I rewatched this the second time, there was no crying. But when I'm talking about when I was in the movie with my family, I've grown up with this movie. It was just the music and the experience. I just I can't.
Did it do it justice for you?
Yeah, it's not a movie that's going to have sort of a true lasting emotional resonance on its own with me. I think it was just at that moment. Seeing it with my sisters and being able to see it in the cinema, and it was just just the whole situation. Everyone in that cinema was there because they had the same sort of appreciation. So it was literally a cinema full of I guess women who have such an emotional connection with this movie. But in particular, so they added a bit of meat to Maurice's storyline. So this is Belle's father. Yeah. There's one particular scene where she walks on him singing this really delightful little tune about Belle's mother while he's finishing a piece of artwork. And I don't know what it was about that, but it made me break down.
Nice.
It was just beautiful.
Well, that's lovely.
So that. And then also one little bit right at the end where the objects are transforming into...
people?
No, just the objects.
Oh, the objects.
And this is one moment where Chip is jumping to be with his mother, who transforms, and the last thing she sees, I think, is Chip sort of hurtling towards it, and he becomes a cup. So you're like, Chip's going to smash, and the handstand saves him at the last second and puts him on the table. Just that moment,
you cried
I was
at
like,
Good Lord.
Because I know what was going to happen, but it was just they didn't know what was going to happen.
So cute.
Tyson hated that movie. He fell asleep.
I did not enjoy the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast.
Wow,
I did not enjoy it at all.
Second highest grossing film of last year.
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast.
What are you going to do? They're not all for me.
That's fair enough.
And there's a lot of problems I have with it as well.
I'll see it eventually. I love Beauty and the Beast.
I'll probably give it another crack at some point.
Beauty and the Beast is up there. I wasn't a huge fan of the Jungle Book remake, the Jungle Book live action.
Yeah, I liked that a lot more
than
this.
Yeah.
There were things that they did in this that you just kind of like with the Beast in general. I don't understand why they didn't try and do something more physical than CGI.
Yeah.
Because one of my biggest problems was, and you might understand this, he has a song that he sings in this.
He does.
Number one, they didn't use the song from the musical, which they should have, because it is one of the most beautiful pieces of music, I think, around. For a Disney show, they wrote him a new song.
Yeah.
His mouth doesn't move the way a mouth should move when you're singing.
Oh, damn.
And I don't think it's something that people who haven't been around people who sing a lot would notice, but it just drove me crazy. His mouth wasn't moving properly.
No, I understand.
And that was because it's CGI, and it was just like,
I have qualms with mouths not moving.
Just in general.
No, in movies.
You there.
Move your mouth. Move your mouth properly.
No. How irritating it is when the sound is just slightly off?
Yeah, or the CG is done wrong.
Yeah, it was like that. It was just sort of it took me completely out of the moment. I was just like, well,
fair enough.
Yeah, fair deal.
And also use physical makeup. Why don't you use... Anyway.
Nice one.
That one.
All right. Well, my... like we were saying before, before we did the first one of these, I watched, I think, the day before we started recording this podcast, I watched Lion for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Very early last year.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, I wasn't fucking ready at all. For starters, this was the second time I have ever cried in a cinema. My wife took me to see Lion. She's like, no, I want to see this. Let's go see this. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm so glad that we were on the side so no one could see me go, all that shit. But it was the premise. It was the setup of the movie when we see 5-year-old Saru gets stuck on a train, which is for 3 days, gets lost and ends up in Calcutta, and he is lost. Now there are reasons that this resonates with me on a personal level, which I won't go into now, But yes, being a 5-year-old lost, no parents, nothing, and just literally just on your own, that not only scares me now because of what's happened to me, but also now that I have my child, I'm like, oh no, it was so full on.
For sure.
But yeah, uncontrollable sobbing. And Lion,
I feel you.
I'm going to have to say Lion, yes, it was amazing. Unfortunately, the ending there was nothing there at the end. I was like, no, come on. I should be bawling my fucking eyes
that's
out
a bummer
right now.
if it doesn't live up to an earlier.
Especially considering what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. If, what it transcends in the end, I'm like, come on. Shouldn't I be crying at this point? But no. That's not to say that the movie isn't good. The movie is really good. The performances are amazing. I love the way that Melbourne looks. It looks awesome and not just an Australian movie. For once,
Nicole Kidman is amazing.
She's great. I'm not a huge
David
fan of
Wenham
hers,
as well.
but I feel Nicole keeps playing the same
David
roles.
Wenham?
Yeah, it was David Wenham. Yeah. But yeah,
very good.
Lion.
All right, nice.
Yeah. That was my runner-up, Tys.
Yeah,
Uncontrollable
I'm going to do a very quick honourable mention as well.
Yep.
And that's from Logan. That's for what I'll call kind of Xavier's confession speech.
What scene are you talking about?
Xavier.
It's in the bed.
Oh no, we're gonna table this.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So my runner-up, I will use for my runner-up back here, darling. You can't cross over there. Come on. Will be from the Florida Project, which is
it's amazing.
Yeah, I really loved it.
Really amazing.
Really loved it. And there's there are young characters in the film that you become so attached to, and they're beautifully portrayed by these young actors. And there is a moment towards the end of the film where one of the main child characters kind of allow themselves to break, I guess, having been so brave and strong for a whole movie.
Right.
And she is performed so incredibly well by this, 8-year-old actor, that it was incredible. And it's so heartbreaking to see because you take so much responsibility for this character over the course of the film.
Yeah.
And you feel responsible in a way for them because you've spent this time with them. And yeah, it was absolutely heartbreaking. And yeah, it was in a very small cinema, so it was pretty hard to hide my reaction to that. Yeah. Fair deal. It required a little bit of a sit down after wait for things to kind of clear up in the cinema and gather myself and then leave from there. Yeah. So that was my runner-up.
Nice one.
Number one,
Nicole.
Number one, I know my hair is different in Star Wars. The scene with Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. Just like, yeah. It's a massive Star Wars fan, massive Carrie Fisher fan. And that line is it was just perfect considering her entire journey with Star Wars and George Lucas and the whole way that she started with like the horrific hairstyle that she chose because she thought George Lucas would never pick something that made her face look rounder than what it was, and just like it was kind of underhanded, I guess, which is something that you would totally expect from Carrie Fisher. Like she was just a firecracker. Like when she said that line, I was just like, I don't even, did they put that in the script or was that an ad lib? Because it's kind of like a little smack in the face of George Lucas, but also just like the most delightful and unexpected thing you would think she'd say in that moment, which was so Carrie Fisher. And then just seeing her in the movie and knowing that she's not around anymore. Uncontrollable sobbing.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's such a beautiful moment. You're right, and it's like, I think because you sometimes forget when you're watching shows or films. But I say shows because I think it happens a lot more in television, because we don't get a lot of films that go for as many movies as this. But
or you live with these characters for this long.
Yeah, when you have two characters that have been apart for so long who finally are reunited for whatever reason, we sometimes forget that is how it is for them, because we've been with them the whole time, but while they've been separate. And it's very sometimes difficult to nail that moment and really express what it feels like. And I think that was one of the most accurate ones ever, because just that's the simplicity of that, and just the very kind of very true human interaction of it, I think was really, really lovely.
And it just made it so much more, the loss so much more intense, because she may not have been in as many. I mean, she has this one character that everyone knows her for, and she's been in a lot of other movies. But I think her position as someone who was so unapologetic about suffering from mental illness, and making it okay for everyone else to be like that as well. Like, she had so much, and she was so funny, and I've read all her books and
her dog lover.
And all her
massive
dog.
lover.
Oh my God, Gary! When she did her interviews with Gary, her service dog, like he's adorable. Just the meaning that she had, I guess, as someone who was famous, and, but always herself.
Thanks, Bev. Thanks for your contribution.
Thanks, buddy. Oh, we're out again. Good Lord.
No, we're going.
Come over here.
We're still going. I don't know what happened then.
That's funny.
I'm unplugged.
Let's get this fucking... This is shambles.
All right.
Yes, cool. You're number one then.
My number...
Your number one uncontrollable sobbing.
My uncontrollable sobbing was the entirety of the film The Monster Calls.
Yes. We talked about this. Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and then just going back and trying to pick a part, and it wasn't a part, it was the whole thing. Especially because watching this film, Nick is a very naive person going into films like this, and because the synopsis is a child dealing with his mum's mental illness through his imagination, I am that naive that I think that no, it'll be okay in the end. You know, his mum will be all right.
Sure.
And it's not, and it takes Nick a while to realize that he's using his imagination not only to deal with, but to find answers of, well, what do I do now that my mother is gone? And the film is just beautifully sad. It uses CGI really well. It's yes, it can be a little bit overdone, but underneath, it's just a beautiful story of a child coming to grips with how real the world is, really. And if I'm going to say anything, it's probably the line, "I'll be right here," and okay, and I'm done.
Makes me think of E.T.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, God, I'm waiting for that to come on.
Calls,
to fucking,
man.
I'm like, well,
jump on it now.
See it. I really want to see it. Because I feel like it's going to be right up my alley.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah. J.A. Boyena.
J.A. Boyena, that's the one.
Yeah, about to do what looks like not a very great Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. But it was awesome.
Yeah,
that's all
good.
I'm going to say.
Well, I don't disagree. I'm sure it is, because I reckon his last movie, before that, The Impossible, was a movie that I spent almost the entirety of that movie fucking bawling my eyes out during. So I understand.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen that movie, you should. Like,
it's
oh my
pretty
God.
incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my favorite moment is of uncontrollable sobbing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, but exemplified by the line, of course, of "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all."
That was a runner-up for me too.
Yeah. The relationship that is built between these two characters in this film is unlike anything I've seen before. How we can take a character,
it's essentially a villain in the first
who's
one.
a villain in the first film.
And for those people who don't know what this film is,
This is Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2, Volume 2.
Volume 2.
Oh God, what's his name? Hondo.
Yondu.
Hondo.
Hondo. That's General Hondo.
I just made up it sounds like a bad car. And his relationship with Peter Quill, and the way that this film kind of paints that relationship in a new light. And then I love seeing redemptions of characters, especially when they're well earned and they don't feel like a cheat, and nothing in this felt like a cheat. I think they were able to somehow miraculously turn what was a villainous character in the first film, but one that we kind of found charming,
we still like seeing
into
him.
Legitimately the heart of the movie. And it was just remarkable to watch, and I was a fucking shambles watching it.
It could even be starting from his interactions with Baby Groot. Even though that leads into him killing a lot of people, but it's from there onwards.
Yeah, and look, and I think that the escape moment in that is one that I considered strongly for action sequence as well, because that's fucking incredible.
Awesome.
But there's just something about the way that that finale makes it so personal, despite it being such a huge extravaganza. Which kind of sets it apart from a lot of the other Marvel films, when the finales are very effective, like a great action sequence, but maybe are lacking a little bit inside, which is not always a bad thing. I'm not saying that every action sequence has to be about that.
Absolutely.
But this is one that managed to juggle both perfectly, which then leads into the very end of the film, which is just absolutely beautiful. And I spent probably that 15-minute passage of that film just in comic book movie lover heaven, really. One,
so not what you thought. That movie.
It kind of
really
exemplifies why I think it's the kind of thing that you could show people and say, what do you like about comic book movies? And it does everything in that short period of time. And that's why I love it so much.
He may have been your father, but he's
he ain't your daddy.
He ain't your daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was good.
So that's it. So the next one, let's not talk about any of these, because let's list them, but let's not spend any time talking about them, because why do we want to bring down the vibe? So this is our disappointing films.
Okay.
And I reckon just one sentence, this is disappointing to me.
Okay.
What do you got?
Alien Covenant.
Fair call. That's what most people say.
Alien Covenant.
I have a very high tolerance for all things aliens. I even love Aliens vs. Predator. But when you take a movie that's built on the story of personal strength winning and leave it, you could have left it ambiguous, but instead you make it obvious that it's the worst possible option has happened to these people. Fuck you.
Fair deal.
Nice one.
Well put.
Bit of fucking anger at the end there too.
That was
yeah,
good. That was
you take
good.
it. Sucked in, Ridley.
Fair
Gotcha.
deal.
Yeah.
I like it. What was that? Okay.
Just having a quiet day.
All right. Well, my
Ridley.
disappointing film, I'm gonna leave most of, because I have actually a full page on why this was disappointing.
No, we'll have to
I
talk
have a
about
full
that another
page.
time.
Yeah. But I'm going to leave it for when we do a proper episode on it.
Yeah.
But my most disappointing was The Last Jedi.
Oh.
And apart from what has been said, I've agreed with both of you on what you said. That's not to say I didn't like it. There were moments that I liked, but with its total inconsistencies and its forced humour, I can see what Ryan was trying to do. And I agree. When I watched it, I said, well, I have to go back and listen to what Tyson said, because there's no way that he wouldn't have seen what I saw, because we have quite similar views. I was like, no, well, I can see what Ryan was trying to do. And yes, I do agree with what Tyson said. I love Star Wars. I love a Star Wars that is about the characters, that isn't about... It is more than just lightsabers and TIE fighter dogfights.
Yeah.
And that's what this was trying to do. But unfortunately, with the things that I'll talk about later, it just didn't land for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair call.
Oh, my God.
So there you go.
Yeah,
there you go, Nick. There's an episode for you.
Was that your runner-up or just the one?
No, that was the one. I've got a runner-up if you would like me to do a runner-up.
Well, you can do it the other way around.
Yeah,
Then we'll save it around.
Yeah.
My runner-up is the one that I obviously, this is no surprise to anyone, but it's Justice League. It was.
I'm going to find out that I'm going to love this movie. It's going to be hilarious.
I don't know. I don't understand how a movie that should be like for me, like 100% for me, can be absolutely in no way for me. Like everything I look for in a movie, none of it is in this movie.
Would you say that this...
they can't make Wonder Woman.
I'm not going to open this box.
Making Wonder Woman and Justice League in the same year and having the opening shot of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like,
of her crotch,
like front and
I've
center.
heard that, yeah.
Like, fuck you, DC.
Yeah,
it's a bit shitty. And
fair deal.
What are you going to do, huh?
Stay tuned for our episode on Justice League.
Okay. Number one disappointment of the year was Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Oh no!
So this was a fucking clusterfuck, is what I'm going to say. They killed off one of their best female characters in the first 10 minutes, and then made a critical point in the movie, inserting a tracking device into another woman's vagina. How is this okay? Fuck this movie.
It's a good point.
Wow, well said.
I'm not even kidding. It's just
no,
I don't understand.
But this is coming from the first one that the prize at the end was anal sex.
Yeah, but she's in the next movie. They're a couple. And she's that was actually something that I kind of appreciated. I'm like, well, you know what, whatever.
Decent.
But
Well
they
done.
stay together. They're an official
really?
couple. That was a nice part. The only nice part of this movie. But then they make the decision that I don't know, maybe you could just shoot her with a dart, and then they show it as well inside her vagina.
Good Lord.
Fuck that movie.
Have you seen this?
No.
Do you know what's going on?
No. There's very... I think the first movie was able to juggle a very fine line very effectively.
Mostly through Roxy.
That it seems as though it tried to do the same thing and has not juggled the line anywhere near as effectively.
Right.
Because in the first movie they have Roxy, who is an amazing
She was great.
character.
Yeah.
And she dies in, I don't know, the first 5-10 minutes.
Spoilers.
I don't care.
Fair deal.
No one should see it.
I will probably
Nicole
see it
is
at
taking
some point.
fucking names.
Yeah, Nicole's stepping in some fucking
Only because it's just
aggressive waters.
the
I
people
like
who
it.
make these decisions should not be allowed to make decisions.
Yeah, fair deal.
It's just... ugh.
Very
No,
good.
it's a hard world.
What's your other most disappointing for the year, Nick?
I'm going to say that this was. I'm going to stick by my guns because there are things that I liked about The Last Jedi, but there is nothing that I liked about this fucking piece of shit.
What's that?
And the trailer made it look fucking awesome. Was Mine, Army Hammer, steps on a mine, and the whole movie surrounds him. I've gone. I'd like a movie that when an actor is stuck in a situation and the whole movie just
Yes.
it's if a director can pull that off.
Yes.
That gives the director like a really big heads up that they've got some really amazing things coming. But this just didn't fucking cut it. This at one point you were like, oh, okay, I see where you're going. I'm out. Have a good one.
It's funny.
Which is so disappointing because I love Army Hammer, man. He's coming up to be one of my faves.
Yeah, I like him on screen a lot. It's funny that you say that one because I watched The Wall.
Is it? Yeah, it's the same premise.
Which is almost the
I
same
saw the
presence.
trailer
it's
for
the
The
other
Wall,
one
yeah.
of these movies that this one was directed
you
by
watched The Wall?
Doug Liman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's with John Cena.
John Cena and
Fuck John Cena.
Quicksilver from Avengers 2.
Aaron. Anyway, keep going.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Taylor. That's one.
Yeah. And that was also pretty disappointing, yeah. I think, there's a reason why kind of those movies came and went and no one really cared.
Yeah, no one gave a
Because
shit.
they both had incredibly strong premises. And...
Premises.
Sure. I like my word better. And couldn't... from what you've said and from what I've experienced with The Wall, were not able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Despite... kind of good intentions, though.
Yeah, really
actually,
good. Yeah.
I don't blame. I don't think it's Doug Liman. It's because I quite like Doug Liman a lot as a director.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one of those things where it's like, fuck you, man. You had such a good idea and you fucked it. I think everyone still thought up until the end that they were making a good movie. It doesn't click.
You cast John Cena.
Something doesn't work.
Sorry.
John Cena's great, man.
No, he's not.
He's really good in
He's
this.
the green
very
guy that
effective.
needs to go heel, and it sucks. Coming from a man who loves fucking WWE, he can suck it. Whoa.
Is that because of some old WWE
Dude, I've got
rivalries?
beef. I've got beef with this man going fucking years back, okay? We have beef.
I can imagine.
He can suck it.
All right. Oh, well.
All right.
Just very briefly then, I'm also going to mention the sequel to Stakeland, which was probably my most disappointing experience of watching. I think I already talked about this on the episode when I did watch it. Stakeland is one of those surprise films that came out of nowhere for me, and I loved unapologetically, and have since followed the director and the writer in everything they've done, especially the director, and he's gone on to make some very, very strong films. This was written by the same guy but directed by somebody else. It is unfortunately no good, and doesn't go as far as to ruin the good work that the first Stakeland movie does, in being a very subversive vampire flick. It's still is in no way enjoyable.
Fair deal. Fair deal.
I would say there is some enjoyment, but for me, there was very little.
Fair deal.
All
right then.
So, before we get into what we'll call our favourite movies of the year, I just want to go around and kind of see if there were any movies that we watched for the first time this year.
Oh, I like that you said this.
That were not of 2017, but are kind of those movies that we now will consider some of our favourites from years gone by. And we don't have to talk about it for too long at all. I'd actually just like to, if we've got a couple, if you want to just list them off.
Yep.
What do you got for us, Nicole?
I've got Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
It's kind of a cheat because it was like it came out like December 2016, so that's fine.
But this is one of my go-to movies now as well. I love
It's
it.
great.
I love the characters. It's a delight, no matter what you think, Tyson.
Have you seen it? You've seen it, Tyson?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No.
But it was she wrote it for film. Like the rest of the last 3 Harry Potter movies was trying to cram so much into the films. Like they ended up being just for the Harry Potter fans. Whereas this was made to be a film and it was amazing.
I think half of it's really strong.
Other half.
I think everything that... I feel like half of it is her trying to write the first book of a series. I hate movies and this is why I struggle with most young adult adaptations, is because I don't care about the name of this thing, and I don't care about this other thing that you found in a thing.
He's heartless, Nicole. Just heartless.
No, because there's a
actually, no, I do agree with young adults.
There's the confusion.
But I just love this movie.
The first Maze Runner movie, I reckon about 80% of the dialogue is someone asking somebody else, what's that?
Yeah,
and then somebody else explaining it with a dumb new word.
That's Philosopher's Stone. Rewatch Philosopher's Stone.
I agree. Philosopher's Stone is awful. Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets.
Cradle of Secrets.
Chamber of Secrets are both pretty average. I don't think those movies become anywhere near decent until the third one.
Fair deal.
That was my big problem with. But that's fine. Neither here nor there.
I will always love it. Then I have Sicario, which I watched when I was really hungover, which is a great
becoming
decision.
like my white whale.
It has,
I've still
hasn't it?
not
You
fucking
still haven't
seen this movie.
You need to watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it when you're hungover. It worked out pretty well for me. And I mean like really hungover.
Decent. That's awesome.
Sure.
And then my last one will be American Gangster. I watched it when it came on Netflix, and I've watched it a few times since then, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
Russell Crowe, Denzel Washington doing their thing.
Yeah.
I do like that movie too. I think that was. Is that also Ridley Scott?
Yep.
I
like a lot of what he does, except for Alien Covenant.
He has his moments, definitely.
I feel like he's lost his luster. But anyway,
a little bit, but maybe.
But I haven't seen Alien Covenant, and I've heard great things. Yeah, right. The first one that I would like to mention is 1957's 12 Angry Men.
Oh yes, we did talk about that.
Fuck me, I'm so glad I bought it.
Awesome. And that's streamable as well.
That is streamable. Yeah. Just 136 minutes of stellar performances of. I had no idea going in. I had no idea what it was. I remember thinking that it was something biblical, but yeah, amazing. And the other one I just want to quickly mention, which if you haven't seen them, you need to see them.
What's that?
Is the 2000? It's early. It's 2012.
Oh, early.
Yeah, it's late. It's 2012, which is not. That's not a.
That's all right.
That's not going on it. But it's
squeezed in one like a month before this year, so that's fine.
Is the documentary on Michael Jackson's Bad? Spike Lee. You need to watch these things. These things are amazing. And if he doesn't do the I'm hoping he does the trilogy. He can't not do the trilogy now that he's done Bad and Off the Wall. He has to do Thriller. There's no way he can't not do Thriller. It is still the biggest selling album of all time. And
hopefully,
hopefully he does it.
Tice? All right. Well, I'll list off a 3.
Is it the fog?
A few. No, I thought about putting the fog on.
Yeah,
I really dug the fog.
Foggy.
But no, 2013's Begin Again, the middle movie of the trilogy that is now kind of, I suppose, the loosely connected trilogy. Same director and writer.
Yep.
John Carney. It's as good as the other two, and I loved the other two, so I don't know why I avoided this one for so long.
Nice.
1989's Black Rain, directed by Ridley Scott.
Yes.
He's showing up everywhere. I fucking loved this movie.
I still can't wait. I love the cover of this
Japanese noir kind of. It was so great. Big fan. And
Michael Douglas, baby.
Michael Douglas, you forget he was just a superstar.
He was gold in his 80s age.
And lastly, 1982's The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. It was my first time seeing it, finally.
Well done.
And the hype is real. It is.
You can't.
It is easily as good, if not better, than its reputation has. Precedes. Yeah. I fucking loved it. Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Absolutely.
All right. So now we get to the brass tacks of the day.
I think we should literally only because we're going up on.
Yeah, it's getting long. Now? I think if we've got a runner-up,
just do the runner-up.
If you've got an honourable mention, you only mention it by title because we don't have time for this nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. We're going way over.
It's because this is times 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, runner-up, Shape of Water.
Sure.
Very, very pretty movie.
I don't have a runner-up.
All right. No, honourable mention.
Honourable mention.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No, don't worry about it. No, because you obviously went to all the trouble of finding...
Yeah.
I'm rattling off 3 movies that were like my next 3 after my top 2.
Yeah, I don't know. You go to you.
All right. Well, my next if I had to pick my next 3 after my top 2, it would be Dunkirk, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and The Florida Project.
Nice.
I'll also include 3 Billboards and Star Wars.
Sure. These are all honourable mentions.
Honourable mentions.
And of our 2 favourite.
You got to chuck them in. You got to chuck them in.
What was your runner-up?
Runner-up.
Oh, no, my runner-up was The Shape of Water.
Was it?
Yeah. I thought we weren't talking about it. Shape of Water.
Great. Well, we can talk about Shape of Water then.
Saw it yesterday. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's had time to settle then. You've lived with this movie for a while.
All I'm going to say is that the movie finished, and while the credits were rolling, I was having a bit of a tear.
Nice.
Because it was just so delightful.
And the director is...
Guillermo del Toro.
He was amazing. Sally Hawkins was fantastic. I think Frances McDormand might win Best Actress, but I wouldn't care if Sally Hawkins won it because she was amazing.
Yep.
There's one scene where she has to have an argument, and God, like the intensity of that scene where someone who can't speak has to try and have an argument with someone who can speak and trying to be understood beyond the words that you can assign was absolutely remarkable. And just like everything in her face in that scene, just showing the limitation of trying to communicate when people don't understand what you're trying to say between the words was incredible. Michael Shannon, terrifying.
Always.
Richard Jenkins was another supporting character. He was delightful. Octavia Spencer, doing a very similar thing to what she's done recently, but it's not old, so she can keep doing it as long as she likes. And Doug Jones, who played the creature himself, completely underrated, I think, as a performer. He's just... what he does with his physicality is absolutely incredible.
Fair deal.
Yeah, I also saw it yesterday. Not at all surprising. Buffy. God, she's crazy, this girl. Oh, look at that. And I feel like I'm gonna need to see it again or live with it a little bit.
Yeah, before you talk about it.
Because to be quite honest, I thought it was going to be the movie that I would love the most out of this Oscar kind of lineup. Really? I really thought that from everything I knew about it,
looks amazing.
I thought it would be the movie that I would be crying out for days afterwards how it's the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
And I came away really pretty flat.
Okay, I like that because when that happens to me, normally you've set my bar pretty low.
And I feel really.
But Nicole set it really high. Damn it. Okay,
I don't understand why. I honestly don't understand why. And I kind of...
That's okay.
Looking at it and everything that happens in it, it should have spoke to me. It should have been for me. I should have been all about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I wasn't. And
there were moments
I need to watch
when
it
I
again.
was like drifting off a little bit. Like it didn't have my... It's weird. It didn't have my intention the whole time, but when it did, fuck.
Yeah.
It wasn't even... I don't think there's much wrong with it structurally. I think it's the art direction and the cinematography and its production values are pretty fucking amazing. But I don't know. I just don't know why I didn't come away just loving it sick.
Okay.
Moving on.
So yeah, moving on.
All right. Well, my honourable mention is the Academy Award nominated of last year, Fences, because I watched it just going in because we didn't get it till last year.
Oh yeah, fair call.
Yeah. And I feel like it got a really rough trot. Like no one saw it. No one saw this thing, and it was just well scripted, amazingly acted, and it's just a beautiful. It's what it is. It's from my love of theatre. It's a play, is what it is, and it sets out like that. These scenes are running. This is a steady cam and let the actors work. That's what happens in this film, and And yeah, I love it. I'm craving to watch it again. I've only seen it once, and I'm really needing it to watch it again.
Yeah, I really want to watch it.
Yeah.
And for a little while there, I think Denzel was kind of...
I thought he was up. Like,
he was going to win.
The fact that Casey won, I was like, fuck off.
And then he turned... Yeah, and then it came out that he was also a scumbag, and it's like, well, he's got to win now.
Casey Affleck, who's not going to the Oscars this year.
No, look, and you know what? That's actually probably the classiest movie he's made in quite some time, that he basically just said, no, look, in the light of everything, it's better than I'm not there. And I think that's a mature decision to make in those circumstances.
But watch Fences if you've got a chance, because, you know, it's a tour de force of acting. It's, you know, it's amazing. There's no CGI. It's one of those movies where, you know, sometimes you go away from something like Guardians or Wonder Woman or anything like that, and you go, okay, I kind of need a real film, something tangible for a bit, rather than all of these beautiful, amazing lights and buzzing stuff and everything like that. It's gritty acting, and I love it.
Great, excellent. All right, so my runner-up film of the year. Favorite movie of the year? Film of the year. That sounds so fucking pretentious. My runner-up for my favorite movie of the year.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Get Out.
Oh.
Jordan Peele's Get Out. I absolutely love this movie. I came away from it so excited and like pumped up about what I'd just seen, knowing that it was the first film from this guy who just was like had a very funny sketch comedy television show. Is a writer that can be very observant and very much in tune with the political landscape and stuff like that, but you wouldn't think would produce such a aware movie that's so perfectly of now. It feels like 2017 in a nutshell. But it will also be kind of timeless for that reason.
Yeah.
And it's scary in ways that is far more long-lasting than anything that's like a jump scare or any kind of monsters or anything that you can tangibly escape from.
Yeah.
Like you can put a monster in a little pile and go, no. It's common sense. Common sense will prevail.
Yep.
It is not coming for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
this is a whole different type.
There is nothing like that in this. It feels so possible, strangely possible, despite a really kind of bonkers third act where it goes out of control.
Yeah.
But it still feels like there's always this potential for it to exist in a real world setting. I think the performances are amazing. I think it's funny in a way that doesn't feel like it's cheating.
TSA, man.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's not like he's the jokes now. It feels really important to the overall vision of the film to have this character who's quite funny.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about it. I think now, because I'm in a situation where the other films that I kind of was thinking, hey, this is kind of the one that I think is going to be the best film that I want to win all these Oscars.
Yeah.
For every one of them that I watch that I go, yeah, it's great, but I have these issues with. Get Out keeps staying above.
Yeah.
And I was so I keep remembering that feeling I had when the credits were rolling on Get Out, and I was like, in my head, I thought, I've just seen a near perfect film.
Right. Wow.
And I've got to, but at the time I thought, but it's still, it won't be that kind of movie that I feel super passionate about. But the more further away from it I am, the more passionate I get for it, and the more I want to watch it again.
That's good.
The more I read about it, the more I listen to Jordan Peele in interviews and stuff.
It's done its job.
It's totally done its job, and so I'm fairly certain it's going to be an all-timer.
Nice.
Yeah, so let's Get Out.
Get Out. Jordan Peele.
Yeah, man.
Nice. All right.
Nicole, favorite movie of the year.
Favorite movie. Nicole's favorite movie of the year.
Dunkirk.
Good.
So I'm less of a film buff than you guys, so Christopher Nolan's name means less to me, I think, than to people who are, I guess, all about the movies. I would have gone to see this as a World War II movie, not as a Christopher Nolan movie. And I think it's exactly the sort of war movie that World War II and potentially World War I as well, if there's a story for it, deserves. I love all the other war movies that we get, but this is just he captured it was such a critical point for anyone who knows anything about World War II in terms of if they didn't get these soldiers out of France, we probably would have lost. That was not pushing for the Germans, not pushing forward at that particular moment because they didn't think they'd be able to rescue all of those soldiers from the beaches. Was a mistake. One of, I think, the only two mistakes that the Germans made that had serious consequences for the outcome of World War II. That being said, like it's this everyman story. Like it's the soldiers, there's no heroes in this movie, and I think that's where a lot of people have problems with it. They can't follow the story the same way that you follow something like Saving Private Ryan, because you're like, these are my heroes. This is their mission.
This is who I see myself in. Yeah.
This is what they're going to do. Movie is literally just. They're just regular guys who want to go home, who joined up. They're all 18, some are 17. Like some are old, some have gone to World War One. Like they're just dying in the most horrific ways that they just like can't help. Like being trapped in boats that get torpedoed and then sink, and you slowly drown, or being trapped in an airplane just because you can't open like something that should open, and you can't find your hammer to break the glass, and like slowly drowning. Like just all of that sort of stuff, showing shell shock, like. And appreciating what that does to a person and how they will react to situations, and then just the emotional payoff of what the civilians did in Britain when they knew that they had to help, and they launched all of their boats and they got as many of the soldiers off as possible. And it was just like that's the beauty of a beautiful war movie. It's not this particular hero doing something amazing. It's the people in general doing their best to help out everyone else, and not everyone makes it. And it was just like, I can't praise it enough for showing that story and not the one guy who saves like this town.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Look, and I don't like Hacksaw Ridge at all, although it was garbage, but there is merit to those stories being told. I think we rely really heavily on telling those stories because we feel like that they're the ones that people will most respond to. It's like you read something about the miraculous one guy that saved 14 lives and blah, 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 blah. But I feel like that overlooks this kind of mundane heroism of the one guy who just is still fucking risking his life. And yeah, maybe he didn't save 14 people and drag them from burning ships and all this kind of stuff.
It's not that he went to his job every day, which was in the He could have died every day.
Yeah, every single second he's out there, they're risking their lives. And there's sometimes not this huge glamorous movie to be made in it. And Dunkirk is nothing if not unglamorous. Like it is really, really just about that side of war, just the boring. Almost boring for us, but super, super life-changing for these people. It's kind of like when you think about that day, let's say someone had a car accident, right? And so someone kind of crashed into the side of your car and it spun your car around. And for you, that's like the most terrifying thing that's happened in years. Yeah? Maybe you broke your arm. You're going to tell that story for the rest of your life.
Sure.
You don't make a movie out of that story.
Yeah, no.
Yeah? But for you, that changed your life. Yeah, that's kind of, I think, a lot of what Dunkirk is doing. Is that these people, it changed their lives, and because they are so faceless, I think it's come the closest to showing that side of it. Yeah, the fact that it was horrific for anyone involved in any way, shape, or form, and. Because these characters were kind of not fully drawn, it makes us appreciate that more because we can kind of see the normalness of them all. Just this very plain, unassuming kind of thing that a lot of war movies don't do because they need to have a thrilling kind of protagonist or someone that we can all latch onto.
I'd put it as it's like a similar sort of movie is Kokoda, where it's just showing like if you're in a situation where you just like that's what you just have to do it every day, and you might die, you might not die, you might save your friend, but that's what it is to be a foot soldier in a world war. And yeah, everything about it that I guess is a standard Nolan thing that you would see in a movie, I think just added to the intensity of it. And I think people who disliked it missed the point.
There were people who disliked this?
I don't think it's probably not fair to say that they missed the point because I don't like making
You like to see the kindness
objective
in
comments about subjective.
You like to see the kindness of people,
things.
don't you?
No, but I think I get what you're saying. I think most of the criticisms I've heard, I don't agree with because the criticisms that are made are some of the strengths for the film in my mind. So,
talking to someone, because I haven't seen Dunkirk yet, and talking to people who have seen it, other friends that I have who have seen it, they're saying that like I keep bitching about, if you are a great director, you should be punching out films, and there is a reason that he does one a year, and this is it, he took his time, and this is. It brings out a beautiful film for everyone, and yeah, I cannot wait to watch it.
I think they even, if they did not use, they built exact replicas of some of the boats that were
I think
sent out.
from a technical standpoint, it's inarguably excellent. I think the sound design, the production design, the cinematography, the score.
It could win everything, and I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
That being said, so could 3 other movies that are on the list up for Oscars this time.
Yeah, I think Dunkirk was a stunning experience. I really, really appreciated it. I thought it was great. All right. Let's move on. Favourite film of the year, Nicholas?
Is it the same as
yours?
Yeah,
I think it is the same. We've done it again.
We've done it again. Logan.
It is Logan.
Yeah. I rewatched this a couple of days ago, and it just cemented everything. So the reason that this is my favorite film of the year is because this is a character story. And being a character that we've grown with, we've seen what he has gone through, and not only the character itself, like with the deaths and all of that stuff, but seeing what Hugh Jackman Wolverine has gone through, the shitty films that he has had to do to get to this point, it cements it even more, and it gives Wolverine and Logan a proper goodbye, and which I think is rare in a film instance, saying goodbye to a character properly. Apart from Serenity.
No, well, I mean, I think in terms of it'd be like if James Bond was played by the same character as long as Sean Connery did, but then the Sean Connery Bond, we saw him die.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being, now someone else is playing him.
Yeah.
We had to actually watch the Sean Connery Bond die. Or, I can't think of anything else similar to that.
Yeah. And for a film
because it's been so long. It's been 17 years that we've had this one actor playing this character. And
throughout all of these films, and not only X-Men, but the Wolverine films as well.
We only associate the character with
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
you can't. It's going to be hard to find
Gone
another Wolverine
Forever
after
is the actual Wolverine, who is the 5'0" Raging Cajun.
Yeah,
that's not ever going to be the Wolverine again.
No,
because forever
everyone
it will be
Logan.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And with this performance, he deserves it.
No, absolutely.
I agree. It's easily the strongest performance he's given in the role
ever.
And I like,
but it's a film that gives him the space to do that.
Yeah,
this isn't a film that sets out to have jaw-dropping and money-spending CGI scenes where we're atop of the Statue of Liberty. It isn't about that. It's about scenes where you're seeing Wolverine and Hugh Jackman. He just gets to act his chops off with this thing. It takes its time throughout each scene and just gives it its space, which I love. Not only that, because you don't have these massive CGI massive scenes, you have to rely on the actors' performances, and they are stellar in this movie. Like from Stephen Merchant to Boyd Holbrook to Daphne Keane. I don't even know who Daphne Keane is, but now I have to keep an eye out for her, because what she did with that character was fucking awesome. And she didn't even have many lines.
No.
And Patrick Stewart. Oh
yeah, I'll get into that. I was going to get to that later. Yeah, go. Oh, it was just the fact that writing in that Professor X has dementia, that's fucked up. That's messed up.
Yeah.
And the repercussions that come with that. Not only that, they if you haven't seen it, which I don't really want to spoil it for people because it is amazing on the first watch if you haven't seen it, but the end scene of how the farm scenario ends is it is gut-wrenchingly fucked. Like, it is, you don't see it coming, and it's you don't realise that it's going to be this type of film, which is why my favourite action sequence of the year set it up for you. This is not going to be a movie that you think you're going to get. This isn't going to be.
No. Yeah, I echo pretty much everything you're saying so far.
Yeah.
I think why I find it so memorable is because I'm just so thrilled that we are in a time where we can have movies that appeal to my comic book geekiness and my action movie child, the kid in me that just loves seeing fantastic things, like things that he can only imagine, mixed with the part of me that loves a legitimately good, well-written drama that deals with heavy thematic stuff but isn't afraid to be either. Like, is not trying to hide one or the other aspect of it. Yeah. It is unapologetically a comic book movie while also being this seriously fucking, like, down and out, gut-wrenching, fucking ripping your guts out of your fucking chest.
Yeah. It was a hard watch at some
points.
Movie
about a lot of things. Like, I mean, primarily, of course, like, about how we deal with death.
Yeah.
But so much more like than that. So
many things undercurrent, that you get on a second watch or a third watch that they've done on purpose, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not with heavy-handed exposition either. It treats us like adults. You don't get to know every single thing. You don't find out why he's doing this or what. You have to put the pieces together yourself.
Yeah.
They're not going to spoon feed you.
And you know what's going to happen to Logan from the get-go in this movie, and it doesn't change the emotional impact that has.
Exactly.
And the
no,
kids,
if anything, the inevitability of it heightens it, I think.
Yeah, especially like when all the kids are not just X-23 are involved, and it's just and it sort of throws back to X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, where he's thrust into like this like position of responsibility that he doesn't want, and he really doesn't want this now. Like, he's like, I'm fucking done. I just no. But he can't abandon that, I guess, part of his personality, which is a very nurturing, protective part. And it just is devastating.
Just watching him through this, you are exhausted at the end. You are exhausted, and it's just emotionally exhausting. It's just a sad movie as well. Like, it's not. There's no cheer part. You're not getting up on the couch and going,
because it's like it's so like, despite it being it is like very kind of harrowing experience. It's got this hope running through it all. Yeah. Which
is the connection between him and his daughter.
And X-23, and even just the group of kids. And I think there's some just in the way that, like, it's one of those life goes on kind of things that it's some movies, I think, try to implement that as a thematic kind of thing and struggle a little bit, but this does it so effectively well that the whole the dawn is coming kind of mentality. Yeah. Yes, Buff, I agree. Yeah, you like that one too.
Put some comic in there.
There's very little I find that I can fault in this movie. Yeah. I think there are little moments to moments that I would like to be a little tighter and maybe a little bit better, a little bit better scripted. I think there's some moments in the dialogue which is a little bit hokey here and there. Yeah. And there's some visual stuff that I just wish was just a little bit tweaked and maybe a little bit.
Oh, but I love the lighting throughout this thing.
I don't think I would change the look of it, but I think it's one of those movies that, despite like there are finicky moments that I would change if I had the choice.
Oh yeah.
But the overall impact of the film is so overly strong and just so ridiculously good that I'm just kind of like, oh, whatever, who cares?
And I love that it stayed true to canon. It didn't oversaturate it with, oh, you remember when we were up in Statue of Liberty? Didn't do that. No. Didn't do that at all.
No. But that
they kept it in there though.
Having that knowledge of everything that's come beforehand, I think is important to the success of this film, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
And having the comic book in it.
Yeah.
It like, it's just one of those things that I think, but you can enjoy this film like without knowing anything about it.
Absolutely.
But I think in order to love this film, you have to
enjoy it,
grown up with this.
With everything.
You have to have grown with Hugh Jackman through this role, seen the highs and lows, seen something like the Wolverine from 3 or 4 years ago and see that you're so close, like
what they
that,
were trying to
where
do.
it's like, oh,
come
man,
on,
you're
really, there.
almost there. Like that was a really good but not great movie. And then just to see them just wholeheartedly nail it, like just really smash it out of the park. You feel like you've got this pride in that for it as well.
You were
where it's
so
like,
at the end of it, you were like,
finally, you
actually, man, congratulations, man. That's
legit. You've made,
well done.
You've made the
Wolverine movie
version of this character
that we wanted from the start, you know, and it took him that long to get there.
And look, and maybe it took the turning of our preconceptions of what these movies were allowed to be too. Because I think if you made this movie in 2000, I don't think it would be anywhere near as good. But we've reached a point now where it's like, hey, you know what? Our comic book movies, for a while there, they had to be a certain way. They had to be origin story, villain setup,
spandex,
fancy costumes, big CG finale, and lots of action, lots of hope. Yeah. We're in a point now where it's like, no, we can tell these far more realistic human
old man
human misery stories with these characters in it. And forever people have been saying, you know what, it'd be a great comic book movie? Just put this character and this character in a situation for 2 hours. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be this world-ending thing. Yeah. And
which is good where they're kind of going with some TV series. I say some TV series are doing it.
But now that we accept that as a potential, we get those kind of movies where, do you know what? It's far more effective to have the stakes be about one person, the character, and maybe their surrounding characters, than it is sometimes to have the whole the whole fate of the world is dependent on this one moment. Do you know what? The fate of the world does not change in that moment, but everything changes for him and her.
Absolutely. There's no blue light coming out the fucking sky.
Yeah. You know? And, that's more powerful, I think.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah.
I loved it too.
Good.
Well done, team.
Well, I think that's going to wrap up our 2017 wrap-up.
Our 2017 wrap-up,
is wrapped. We have wrapped it. 2017 has been placed...
Oh, my God.
...in a container with a little bow.
It has. And while we have... Because it's with the last guest that we had, because there was a while where I wasn't here and everyone was filling in. We're going to do a quick... should we do this?
Why not?
Oh, I think we should do this.
I know what this is.
I think we should grill the guest.
We haven't grilled the guest forever.
We haven't.
So did I end up putting a theme song in for this or not?
No.
I
think you should.
We sung it though.
Did we?
We're grilling the guest. In place of Crossing the Streams this week, because I can't be fucked.
I'm pretty sure my wife picked that song for us, didn't she? Yeah.
All right, so we're going to grill the guest. I'm going to put on the fake the ticker clock to make it seem like...
at the end.
Do you know what's great? Because the bomb just comes on when the question's over, so the time limit...
Oh, really?
It's constantly changing.
Awesome.
All right, so off we go. And go.
Scorsese or Spielberg?
Spielberg.
Alien or Predator? You have to choose. You have to choose.
People.
You have to choose.
Alien.
Oh, Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Stallone.
Oh.
Lion King or Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast.
Judi Dench or Helen Mirren?
Helen Mirren.
Tim Burton's Batman or Richard Donner's Superman?
Batman.
Oh, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Replicant or not a replicant?
Replicant.
Oh, Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire?
No.
Come on. Pick one.
Choose.
You can't compare them.
Pick one.
You must choose.
No.
You must choose.
No.
You must choose.
No.
She's giving us a void. What do we do?
I just keep ticking.
Okay.
The
clocks keep ticking.
Fred.
Oh, well done.
Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers?
Horror movies.
Yeah, horror movies.
She just says horror movies.
What were they?
That's a great answer.
Were they anybody? Were they people?
Pacino or De Niro?
Pacino.
Labyrinth or the Dark Crystal?
Oh. Dark Crystal.
Yes. DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
Team Cap.
Bill Pullman or Bill Paxton?
No.
Come on, pick it.
No, wait, which
Clock
one's
is ticking.
which?
Clock is ticking.
Wait,
Bill Pullman.
Bill Paxton's the one that passed away recently.
Yep.
And Bill Pullman is...
Paxton, Game Over Man. Pullman, Massive Beard, Independence Day.
Independence Day. It's not day.
Today.
It's our Independence Day.
Well, considering Aliens is one of my favourite movies of all time, I have to go with Paxton.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's actually my favourite thing is to do a Paxton, Henriksen, and there's someone else in that trilogy as well, like movie marathon. So you get Aliens and then Predator 2
and then Terminator.
Terminator, yeah.
Nice one.
Well, that was fun. We haven't grilled the guests for a while.
I'm glad we could do that.
Hey, so that's going to wrap us up. Nicholas, why don't you tell people where they can find our little podcast show?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on the interwebs and you do know what social media is, you can literally look us up on anything: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are going to do a photo eventually.
Like our Facebook page.
Exactly. Like it, follow it.
Because that way you can you get insights into what shows are going to be coming up, if we're going to have any guests on, if we've made any cool recommendations.
That's true.
Or some funny shit that we just see online. If it's got to do with movies,
that's true.
We'll post it there. It's really fun.
But if you would like to write us a letter, if there is something about this that you didn't agree with, the fact that Nick didn't like The Last Jedi, or the fact that...
It's going to be a tough conversation.
It's going to be full on. It's all right.
There are not enough words.
It's all right. You can breathe. It's okay. If you didn't agree with what I said or Tys said, or if you didn't agree with what Nicole said, you can fuck off because she's our special guest. So.
My opinions are the only ones that are valid.
Exactly. But yes, you can write us an email at nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com.
And please do, because we love opening up the mailbag. It's always a lot of fun. We did get some mail over the break, and we might do like a mailbag show.
Oh shit!
Like just because I think we've got about 5 or 6 questions that require answering.
Nice. I'll be up for that.
Yeah, that could take a whole show.
But apart from that, ladies and gentlemen...
you can find us on YouTube as well.
You can find us on YouTube.
Update weekly.
That's true.
If you prefer to listen to your podcast through that. But otherwise, just jump on the iTunes and subscribe through there.
Please do.
If you don't like using the iTunes app because it's a bit shit, there are plenty... Any of your podcast-style apps, if you search our name,
Tyson
you'll
is
find
silly.
us.
It's fine.
Yeah,
once you use any other one, you'll never go back.
You'll understand why.
You'll honestly never ever go back.
That's what I've heard. My wife's on Stitcher, and she's like,
yeah. Stitcher's a good one to start with as well. Yeah. All right, so we don't know what we're going to do next week yet.
We don't.
So that's why you need to get on the social medias, because we'll be able to tell you. But we're back.
Why.
We're also going to investigate changing our release schedule just to keep our regular listeners updated. We used to release every Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
We are probably not going to be doing that anymore.
Fair
I
deal.
think we're going to be looking at releasing earlier in the week. As you will find by this episode coming out quite early in the week.
There you go.
And we're going to try and stick to that as our schedule. So keep an eye on us earlier in the week as opposed to Fridays.
Fair deal. And apart from that, I think we're done.
We are done.
2017. Bring on 2018.
What are we doing? Oh, do you know what we are doing next week?
We're going to come up...
Oh, we're doing our... This is my favourite.
We're doing...
Of course. This is our What's
to come in 2018.
We're doing our look forward to 2018.
We'll
be talking month by month about the releases that we're most excited about.
Yeah.
And we'll be making some cheeky kind of... predictions about what we think we're going to love, what's going to be our favourite, what's going to claim the box office glory.
Yes.
And then what's going to flop miserably and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if you listen to that last year's one of them, we were all for Alien Covenant.
I'm pretty sure. And I haven't even seen the fucking thing. Because life's too short.
Yeah.
But until then...
Thanks
for joining us, Nicole.
You're welcome. Buffy had fun too.
And thanks, Buff.
Buff.
We've tuckered her out.
Look at that.
And
that was gold.
See you, Nick.
Bye, Tys.
Bye.
Bye.